Chapter 141. Shwa. Shwa. Before the demonic beast landed, two young figures had already pounced on it with lightning speed. One of them was burly like a mountain, with a height of more than 2 meters. He was one size bigger than Xiao Yi. The other had a feminine aura, his eyes emitting a faint cold light, like a poisonous snake waiting for an opportunity to attack. Lin Yu, the head disciple of a rank 7 martial institution in the Elephant Mountain Nation, the Tiger Dragon Mountain, and Wei Dongxi, the head disciple of a rank 7 martial institution in the Thousand Thread Nation, the Green Bamboo Martial School. These two have also reached the Clasping Yuan realm, ranked 70th and 66th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. Hearing Luo Hanshan's introduction, Yi-chan seemed to be thinking about something. Among the 13 Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists, there were 2 who hadn't reached the Clasping Yuan realm yet, but they shouldn't be underestimated. After all, 1.5 years ago, they were already able to enter the Hidden Dragon ranked with the cultivation of peak-level late condensing reality realm, which meant that they were much more powerful than young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu, not to mention now, 1.5 years later. In comparison, the child-level power of the Windy Nation's child-level power was a bit lacking. The child-level power was definitely at the bottom. So many people have come, many of my old friends. Lin Yu twisted his neck, letting out a series of bone-creaking sounds. Wei Dongxi scanned the crowd and sneered. Apart from those old acquaintances on the list, the rest are all trash. I hope they don't run into me, or else I'll kill them without mercy. The murderous aura is still so heavy. However, you have to be careful of Zhuang Fei. During the Hidden Dragon ranking competition, he took a palm strike from you. This time, he will definitely pay you back, said Lin Yu, fanning the flames. He can barely be considered an opponent. I will satisfy him. Although their voices were not loud, those with good hearing could still hear them. Over at the Emerald Martial Palace, the core disciples were indignant. This person is too arrogant. Could it be that he thinks he can defeat eldest senior brother? Once our head brother breaks through to the Clasping Yuan realm, he will definitely lead the Emerald Martial School to glory. How could he stop him? He has overestimated himself. Zhuang Fei stopped their discussion and said indifferently, "Go in and kill him. Don't talk too much." Yes. The few of them immediately quieted down as if they were worshipping a god. Night fell quickly. The night of the scorching ancient desert was colder than expected. The surface of the sand was even covered with ice, which was as hard as iron. This damned desert. Many disciples who came out to relieve themselves couldn't help but shiver and curse. In the thick tent, Yi-chan was meditating. Right now, his Zhenshi cultivation was almost at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. However, he was still not strong enough to reach the peak in one go. In the true spirit continent, the progress of a warrior's cultivation was not the same. Some of them had accumulated a lot of experience and could improve a lot at once. Some of them just blindly followed the others and took it one step at a time. There were also some who tried their best to reach a certain realm, but because they had used up all of their accumulated experience, they had to stay in that realm for a very long time. Currently, Yi-chan belonged to the second type, which was to cultivate step by step and be down to earth. It was not that he did not want to choose the first type, but he simply did not have the time to accumulate his foundation. His actual cultivation time was less than 2 years, so how could he compare with others? As for the third type, the drawbacks were too great, and very few people would choose it. The advantage of taking things one step at a time was that he could grasp his current strength faster and unleash 100% of his strength to its peak without any wastage. It was a silent night. It was already noon of the second day. More people from different martial institutions had arrived, including the Purple Sun Martial School, North Snow Martial Academy, and South River Martial School from the Windy Nation, and of course, the only rank 9 family in the Windy Nation, the Duanmu family. So many powerful martial artists. Ouyang Lai and the others gasped in shock. They immediately stopped being so arrogant. Casually glancing at them, Yi-chan was a bit surprised. Yuan Xiumei was also here, but she was not even in the top 6 of the South River Martial School. Of course, she was indeed very talented. Maybe the leader of the South River Martial School wanted her to find some opportunities because of this. Another group of people who want to die. Yuan Hing Ing and Mo Wushua sneered. The third day, a red sun rose from the east, dyeing the scorching ancient desert red. The Heavenly Dream ancient region will open in half an hour. You guys hand over your storage rings to me. The head elder gathered the 4 people and said. Luo Hanshan was surprised. Head elder, why? The head elder laughed and said, It's my fault for not thinking about it before. The Heavenly Dream ancient region is located in a space crack. It has its own small world, but it is different from the world we are in. The Heavenly Dream ancient region rejects all external space. Even storage rings with space crystals would be strongly rejected. Once a martial artist steps into the Heavenly Dream ancient region, the storage rings would be crushed by the powerful space power. So that's how it is. The 4 people understood. They took off their storage rings one by one and handed them to the head elder. Putting away the storage rings, the head elder said, Don't worry, the storage rings are your personal belongings. Without your permission, we won't check them. That's great. Yichen was really afraid that the head elder would check his storage rings. In his storage rings, there were over 10,000 low-rank soul stones, a low-rank great blade, and a mid-rank storage ring. He didn't know how rare and precious a mid-rank storage ring was, but he had never seen an inner elder wearing a mid-rank storage ring. Yichen let out a bitter smile. Maybe I'm just a petty person. Would the head elder be greedy for my mid-rank storage ring? Not likely. Of course, Yichen wasn't ashamed of this. His motto in life was to be extra careful, extra cautious. If he didn't make it a habit today, it might lead to a disaster in the future. Sometimes, even if he trusted the other party, he shouldn't expose himself completely. The mountain-thick cyan light was getting brighter and brighter. That illusory light gate was no longer illusory. It looked like it was made of crystal and contained within the cyan light. Half an hour passed in a blink of an eye. Aang! The light gate slowly opened, and a loud and clear sound shook people's hearts. The head elder let out a long breath and said in a serious tone, Everyone go in. Remember, no matter where you are teleported to, stay calm, don't panic. Yes, the 4 of them were about to step into the gate. Swoosh! Ha! The Heavenly Dream ancient region is controlled by your institutions. Why can't we go in? Today, no one can stop me. Sand and dust rose into the air. 2 human silhouettes flew towards the light gate at an extremely high speed, almost reaching the speed of sound, letting out a loud, swishing sound. 2 mid-clasping Yuan, realm martial artists. Yichen stopped walking. He was shocked. He didn't know where these 2 people came from. How could they hide under everyone's nose? Strangely, none of the elders from the institutions tried to stop them. Some of them shook their heads regretfully, but most of them sneered. Puff! Puff! Something amazing happened. The 2 of them were like moths flying into a flame. They were burned into ashes by the cyan light, not even leaving a trace, including the storage rings on their fingers. Stupid, if anyone could go in, how could you 2 get in? All the powerful martial artists from the institutions would have gone in already. The rules of the Heavenly Dream ancient region are very strange. Only people with a bone age of less than 24 can go in safely. Even life and death realm martial artists can't change their bone age. Through his soul power, Yi Chan sensed that a lot of people were discussing among themselves. No wonder they didn't stop him. They already knew the truth. However, it was easy to understand. The Heavenly Dream ancient region had been revealed for a long time. All the top martial institutions must have done a thorough research on it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so bold as to let their most talented disciples enter it to collect wealth for them. I'll go in first. The head disciple of the evil blood martial school, Mo Wushua, moved his body, transformed into a beam of blood-red light, and darted into the light gate, disappearing completely. Almost at the same time, the other Hidden Dragon martial school's powerful martial artists followed closely behind. Their extremely fast-moving silhouettes were dragging different colored streams of Zhen Qi behind them. It was quite a beautiful scene. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the next moment, over 600 disciples rushed towards the light gate like a swarm of locusts. Some of them even started fighting against each other on the way. Let's go in as well. Seeing that most of the disciples had left, Lu Hanzhan couldn't wait any longer. He leapt into the light gate. What a magnificent scene! It was the first time for Yi Chun to see so many powerful young martial artists gathered in one place. He slightly sighed, shook his head, and followed Su Jing into the light gate, neither too fast nor too slow. Ouyang Lai, Ouyang Ming, you two remember, if you meet any Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples, kill them if you can, don't show any mercy. If the situation allows, you can join hands with people from other institutions and find a chance to assassinate them, especially that kid named Yi Chun. The Purple Sun Martial School's elder sent a message to Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming through a Zhenqi. A vicious light flashed across Ouyang Ming's eyes. He responded with his Zhenqi, "Elder, don't worry. Even if you don't remind me, I will still kill all 4 of the Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples. As for that Yi Chun, although he might be a bit troublesome, he won't be a problem for me. He will eventually have to fight against someone else." Indeed, that's exactly what I meant. The Purple Sun Martial School's elder grinned evilly. Ouyang Lai said without any hesitation, "As long as I am here, the 4 of them won't be able to come out alive. Then I will leave it to you." Shoo! Shoo! The 2 of them entered the light gate with an ulterior motive. The other 4 Purple Sun Martial School's disciples followed them. On the Sky Cloud Martial School side, the 4th elder noticed this subtle scene. He used his Zhenqi to send a message to the head elder. "Those bastards from the Purple Sun Martial School won't play any tricks, will they?" The head elder said, "Once they enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, their lives will be in their own hands. We have to believe that they will be able to come out alive, and it would also be good if they can kill those Purple Sun Martial School's disciples." Luo Hanzhan and Su Jing are both cruel and merciless. Zhu Mei is still a bit soft. As for Yi Chun, I can't see through him. I don't know if he will leave any of them alive. Don't underestimate Yi Chun. He can be more cruel than anyone else in a critical moment. Once he entered the light gate, Yi Chun felt that the space around him was twisting. He couldn't see anything. He couldn't sense anything. He had become blind. After that, his body became as light as a feather, as if he was teleporting from a long distance. His speed was incredibly fast. After an unknown period of time, Yi Chun appeared in a huge swamp area, surrounded by swamps that were bubbling with gray bubbles and strange-looking trees. Occasionally, a hissing sound could be heard. Chapter 142. Golden Top Silver Snake Plant. Looking around, Yi Chun fixed his eyes on a gray lump of soil 10 meters away. In the middle of the lump of soil, a small plant with silver scales all over its body was standing there. There was even a trace of golden light on top of the plant, emitting a fine light. This plant is worth 50,000 gold. It is extremely rare. I can't believe I can see it here. Yi Chun was a bit surprised. One plant was worth 50,000 gold. It was definitely a sky-high price. If it was made into a protective pellet, it would be worth at least 500,000 gold. Even clasping Yuan realm warriors would fight for it. Without any hesitation, Yi Chun waved his hand. The golden top silver snake plant automatically came out of the soil and flew into his hand. However, before he could take a closer look, the lump of soil suddenly rose up, 2 openings appeared on both sides, and a cold light gathered together, locking onto him. This was not a lump of soil at all. It was obviously a demonic beast that looked like a crocodile. Splash! The crocodile broke out of the water, its 10 meters huge body carrying a strong corrosive demonic chi jumped towards Yi Chun. It opened its huge mouth full of sharp teeth. Yi Chun did not panic as he threw a punch at the crocodile beast's mouth. Clang! Tens of thousands of pounds of strength combined with pure Jin Qi. It only made the crocodile fly back a few steps. Not even a slight wound appeared on it. Die! After the first punch failed, Yi Chun's clothes fluttered in the wind. He punched the crocodile's abdomen again. Swoosh! This punch was not only extremely heavy, it also contained an unbreakable sharpness. It instantly pierced through the crocodile's body. Its blood dyed the swamp red. Taking out a black bag with golden threads, Yi Chun dug out the crocodile's pellet and threw it into the bag along with the jade box containing the golden top silver snake plant. Tying the bag tightly around his waist, Yi Chen's body flashed. He headed deeper into the swamp. Not long after, danger appeared again. From the big trees on both sides of the swamp, dozens of snake-like birds with wings flew out. The strange birds let out hissing sounds, attacking towards Yi Chen from all directions. Rule the world. With a punch, an umbrella-shaped black light shrouded Yi Chen's figure. The terrifying strange birds seemed to have crashed into an invisible wall and were all bounced back. They were twisted by the force of the punch. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and their wings were broken. They fell into the swamp like rain and gradually sank. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region is an ancient inheritance ground. The environment inside has been preserved from the ancient times, and the beasts inside are also ancient beasts. Each and every one of them is incredibly powerful. According to the strength of the demonic chi, Yi Chen could easily tell that the crocodile was a level 4 demonic beast, and the horrifying bird was a level 3 demonic beast. However, compared to the demonic beasts outside, the demonic beasts here were at least 30% stronger. Their defense was exceptionally strong, and even a simple tyrant fist could not kill them. Yi Chen had no idea how vast the swamp was. He had been walking for half an hour, but he still hadn't seen the edge of the swamp. Along the way, countless demonic beasts had tried to attack him. Just a while ago, a calf-sized snail had spat out a mouthful of sticky liquid towards him. This sticky liquid was not only extremely sticky, but also contained a poisonous gas. If Yi Chen hadn't reacted fast enough and held his breath while dodging it, he would have been poisoned. At last, this snail was beheaded by Yi Chen with a single sword attack. That was the first time he had used his sword in this swamp. One could easily imagine how powerful that snail was. Stepping on a branch, Yi Chen stopped leaning forward and turned his head, looking at the scorched ground tens of meters away from him. A broken stone monument stood on the ground. The words carved on it had already been blurred. In front of the monument, an iron stick was stuck into the ground. Only the back half of the stick, which was about a meter long, was exposed. HM. Yi Chen's eyes lit up. The iron stick was emitting a faintly discernible spirit chi. He was sure that a normal weapon wouldn't have such an effect. Could it be a brilliant weapon? Although he liked swords, it didn't mean that he would ignore other brilliant weapons. In the market, a low-rank brilliant weapon was worth at least 1 million gold taels. A slightly better one could be sold for 2 to 3 million gold taels. A low-rank brilliant weapon like the air splitter blade could even be sold for 4 to 5 million gold taels. Using the crane shadow steps, Yi Chen's figure disappeared from the branch. When he reappeared, he was already standing in front of the broken stone monument. Reaching out his hand to grab the iron stick, Yi Chen pulled it out with all his might. Boom! A scarlet-red flame soared into the sky, burning the big trees on the side into ashes. This was not an iron stick, but a pitch-black iron spear. It was 2 meters long, and the body of the spear had a mysterious spiral pattern. The edge of the spear was quadrangular, and there were grooves between the edges. At first glance, one would think that there was a spiral flame burning on the tip of the iron stick. It looked natural. A low-rank great spear, good stuff. Yi Chen could feel that there was a burning chi flowing in the iron spear. As long as he slightly pushed his Zhun chi, this burning chi would burst out and kill his enemies. However, compared to the tiger head great blade in his storage ring and Lynch's air splitter blade, it was slightly weaker. Great weapons were called brilliant weapons because they came with their own power. For example, the tiger head great blade contained blade chi, which could be used by mortal realm warriors. As for Lynch's air splitter blade, it was probably the same. This low-rank great spear contained the power of fire, which was undoubtedly the best weapon for those who trained in fire Zhun Qi. Holding the iron spear, Yi Chen frowned. Such a huge iron spear, where should he keep it? He couldn't just hold it in his hand all the time. It was so inconvenient to not have a storage ring. Yi Chen shook his head and forced a smile. Thousands of meters away, 4 or 5 disciples from different martial institutions saw the flame in front of them. Their eyes lit up, and they rushed over without hesitation. Someone is coming. Yi Chen, who was about to leave, froze. After a dozen breaths, 5 disciples from different martial institutions appeared around him. They were all from different martial institutions from different countries. Each of them was staring at the low-rank great spear in his hand. The greed in their eyes was self-evident. "Brat, put down the spear. Cut off one of your arms, and I will spare your life. Such a treasure. How could you get it? You asked for it." The 5 of them slowly approached, trying to get the low-rank great spear first. Yi Chun sneered. These 5 people were all peak-level late, condensing reality realm warriors. Judging from their chi, 3 of them were child-level warriors, and the other 2 were child-level warriors. If you want the great spear, you will have to die first. There was no killing intent, no evil chi. Yi Chun had a sharp spirit, an unbreakable sharp spirit. "You're looking for death." The disciple closest to Yi Chun made his move. He raised his hand and threw out a palm attack. A millstone-sized Jin Chi palm pressed towards Yi Chun. These were not worthy of his sword attack. Yi Chun held the iron spear and stabbed it out. Whoosh! The red flame burned through the Jin Chi palm and hit his neck. Pap! His head flew out, and the place where it was cut off was burnt black. He has a low-rank great spear. Let's attack together. The other 4 were startled and shouted, trying to put on a brave front. "You're asking for death." He threw out a back spear attack. Layers of spear shadows appeared, like a mountain range. It was Yi Chun's lone peak of 13 swords, using the mountain range sword art. The martial disciple who attacked from behind had not even gotten close to Yi Chun, but already had dozens of burnt holes on his body. The fatal one was on his forehead, and half of his skull had been blown off. After killing a martial disciple with 1 spear attack, Yi Chun did not even take a breath. He swung his spear horizontally, and the red flame exploded, landing on the left side of the other martial disciple's waist. Crack! That martial disciple's body was cut in half and fell into the swamp. Run! This guy is not a normal late, condensing reality realm warrior. At this moment, the remaining 2 people finally understood that Yi Chun was not someone they could mess with. Normally, a warrior with a low-rank great weapon would be able to fight against 2 people at most, and that would be the limit. It would be impossible to kill 3 people at once, and that would only be possible if one's own fighting power was equally powerful. But it was too late to run now. One of them was too slow, and his head was blown off by Yi Chun. The other one was already hundreds of meters away. Before he could even feel lucky, he felt a burning sensation in his chest. He looked down and saw that the spear had pierced through his chest, nailing him to a big tree. The big tree was burning, and the fire spread everywhere. Walking over and pulling out the iron spear, Yi Chun thought to himself, "To me, child-level power is not enough anymore. You can only blame your bad luck." Instead of leaving immediately, Yi Chun suddenly turned around. "It's time to show yourself. Friend." Shoo! A human silhouette jumped out and landed on a rock in the middle of the swamp. Not bad. With a low-rank great spear, you managed to kill 5 disciples from other martial institutions at the same level. If possible, I don't want to kill you, but you have to cut off one of your own arms. As for the great spear, it will be my, Chiu Heng's, trophy. What do you think? The young man was about 21 or 22 years old. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a strong, evil vibe coming from his body. A poisonous snake next to him had just shown its head, but it was immediately kicked in half by him, killing a rank 3 ancient beast in a second. He was very powerful. Yi Chun could tell that his opponent was not simple. In the Heavenly Dream ancient region, a rank 3 ancient beast defense was extremely strong. Even his tyrant fist could not kill it instantly, but his opponent was able to kill it so easily. If he was not mistaken, this person's power was close to the last hidden dragon rank warriors. If it were before, Yi Chun would not have the confidence to win against him. But now, things were different. The young man sneered, "In the last hidden dragon rank, I was ranked 75. Unfortunately, I was only in the top 72. But if you compare me to a normal peak-level late, condensing reality realm warrior, you will die a horrible death. I can kill a bunch of those people easily. Do you want to live or die? Make your choice." Clang! The iron spear stabbed into the ground. Yi Chun pulled out the hidden cloud sword and said, I will kill you with one sword attack. Ah, why are there so many people who want to die? Don't worry, I won't let you die right away. I will tear off your limbs and stick them on a tree. While saying those creepy words, Chiu Heng's right foot lightly tapped on the rock. Puff! The rock exploded, and he had already jumped towards Yichun. While he was still in the air, his sharp leg power had already cut a few big trees near Yichun in half. The cut was as smooth as a mirror, as if it had been carefully polished. Compared to him, sure, Patian and the others were not even on the same level. This Chiu Heng was unbelievably powerful. One sword attack. Yichun did not react at all. He slightly shook his head and casually threw out a sword attack. What's going on? I can see my back with my head. Chiu Heng felt that his body was moving further and further away. He could see his back, but his target had already put his sword back into its scabbard and turned around. That strange feeling made him panic. Chapter 143. His death was too fast. Maybe even in the end, Chiu Heng didn't know how he died. However, this had nothing to do with Yichun. He was only responsible for killing people. With a great sword hanging on his waist and an iron spear in his hand, Yichun lightly touched the ground and flew up to the top of a tree like a wisp of smoke. Then he flashed and disappeared. Squeak! Once Yichun left, countless bugs crawled out of the swamp and devoured Chiu Heng's body and head. Not even his bones were left. Not only was there a massacre happening in the swamp where Yichun was, but there were also massacres happening in other places. In the middle of a mountain range. The smell of blood was everywhere. Run! It's one bloodless blade, Mo Wuxiue. What? It's Mo Wuxiue. We're dead. We're all dead. Outside the simple and magnificent cave, 6 to 7 sect disciples were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves as they flew out. Some of them were even using incomplete cultivation methods, just to increase their speed a little. There were also some people who were carrying explosive pellets with them to save their lives, and threw them behind them. Since you're already here, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Mo Wuxiue, who was wearing a blood-red robe with golden edges, walked out of the cave. He laughed evilly, holding the blood-red thin blade in his hand. He swung it sideways. There was no obvious blade light or blade chi, only an arc-shaped line of blood. Silently, the heads of those people who were running away were cut off. There was no blood coming out of the wounds. It was as if the heads were sealed inside their bodies by an invisible force. It was extremely strange. One bloodless blade, killing people without spilling blood. This was the power of the head disciple of the evil blood martial school, the 54th ranked disciple of the last hidden dragon rank. At the same time, in another place, beside the lake, Yuan Heng glanced at the people who wanted to run but didn't dare to, and said cruelly, "Apart from the Sky Eagle Castle's disciples, anyone who runs into me, Yuan Heng has only one choice, death." Hearing this, these people's faces turned pale. They had found a fish dragon plant that was worth 70,000 gold by the side of the lake. When they were fighting against each other, they had actually attracted the attention of the most bloodthirsty Yuan Heng. Yuan Heng was known as the Killer Eagle. He had never left anyone alive. In terms of notoriety, he was even more notorious than Mo Wuxiue. At least, Mo Wuxiue killed for the sake of killing. As long as they didn't provoke him, they would have a high chance of surviving. However, Yuan Heng was unpredictable. He would kill people when he was in a good mood. He would kill people when he was in a bad mood. He would kill people when he was in a good mood. Even if he was in a good mood, he would still kill people when he was in a good mood. Clearly, the current Killer Eagle was normal, which meant that he could kill people. However, I've changed my mind. I'll give you the time of 3 breaths. Whoever can escape from my attack will be spared. Yuan Heng really liked this kind of atmosphere. He was in control of other people's life and death. If he wanted them to live, he would live. If he wanted them to die, he would die. He had done this many times before. 3 breaths, escape from my attack. Everyone's eyes brightened. Most of them were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. It was not a problem for them to fly 100 meters in one breath. Some of the faster ones could even reach 200 meters. If they ran as fast as they could in 3 breaths, they might be able to survive from Yuan Heng. What? Why are you still not running? Maybe I will change my mind soon. Yuan Heng licked his lips. A hideous look flashed through his eyes. Run! Under the pressure of death, everyone pushed their Zhen Qi to its limit. They flew out at a speed that was way faster than before, scattering in all directions. Within one breath, the slowest person was already 100 meters away. Within 2 breaths, the slowest person was already 250 meters away. Within 3 breaths, the fastest person was already 1 mile away. Eagle's soul splitting. Yuan Heng yelled. He put both of his hands in front of his chest and pushed them out. Shoo! 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 The dark cyan Zhen Qi condensed into numerous huge Zhen Qi eagles. With Yuan Heng as the starting point, they spread out in all directions like lightning. Ah! A scream was heard. The slowest martial disciple's head was ripped apart by the claws of a huge Zhen Qi eagle. His body slid out for 10 meters, and he was no longer breathing. Then the second martial disciple, the third, the fourth, only one person was left, and he had already run for almost 1,000 meters. Not bad. You managed to run that far. But it is not that easy to escape from one attack. Eagle combination, eagle sky attack. All of the Zhen Qi eagles combined into one, forming a super huge eagle. The super huge eagle flapped its wings, and 2 dark cyan Qi blades flew out. Right then, that martial disciple seemed to feel death approaching. He took out a dark red iron bomb from his pocket. It was called the red light fire bomb, which was as famous as the silver light thunderbolt bomb. It could kill a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm warrior. But of course, he did not dare to attack Yuan Heng. Instead, he threw the bomb towards the Qi blades behind him and yelled, "Explode!" Boom! A bright red light exploded, and the 2 Qi blades were shattered immediately. I dodged one attack. His face was filled with excitement, and his mind and body suddenly relaxed. Swoosh! All of a sudden, another Qi blade flew out and cut off his head. This martial disciple died with his eyes wide open. Yuan Heng lightly landed in front of the martial disciple and said casually, "I told you, anyone who runs into me, Yuan Heng, can only die. I will not make an exception. 3 breaths was just a joke. Don't take it seriously." Waving his hand, 3 red light fire bombs flew out of the martial disciple's pocket and landed in Yuan Heng's hand. He sneered and flashed out. The swamp area was extremely dangerous, and sometimes it was not a good thing to be too fast. Just now, Yi Chun had suffered a great loss and had to slow down his speed to about 60 to 70%, saving some energy for himself. Piercing through a demonic bird that had sneakily attacked from the sky, Yi Chun stood on top of a huge tree. Looking into the distance, there was nothing in front of him and nothing in front of him. Is this the end? Yi Chun frowned. Without any hesitation, he moved his body forward and moved as light as a swallow. This place was a dark cliff, and inside the cliff was a swamp area. Outside the cliff, there was nothing but nothingness, as if it was blocked by a great barrier that no one could see through. Thinking about what the leader Luo Xinglia had said before, the Heavenly Dream ancient region was extremely mysterious, and that the entrance of the treasury could be in the mountains, under the water, or even just by jumping down, Yi Chun hesitated for a second, then jumped down from the cliff. He had learned the crane shadow steps art, which allowed him to fly for a long distance. If anything happened, he could come back any time he wanted. But if he didn't try, there was no other way to go, and the only way left was to turn back, which would undoubtedly waste a lot of time and energy. In the Heavenly Dream ancient region, time was money. After falling for about 500 meters, Yi Chun felt that the bottom of the cliff was still immeasurably deep. Clouds were rolling in the air, and he suddenly wanted to go back. But right at this moment, the space underneath vibrated intensely and formed into a 10 meters wide whirlpool, sucking Yi Chun in. Pop! Yi Chun let out a sigh of relief as his feet landed on the ground. Just like what the leader had said, the entrance of the treasury was everywhere. It all depended on whether you had the guts or not. If he didn't jump down just now, he would have lost a great opportunity. Letting out a deep breath, Yi-chun finally had the mood to observe the surroundings. Looking around, he found that his surroundings were very dark. He was in a stone corridor. On the walls on both sides of the corridor, there was a small protruding stone platform every 100 meters. In the center of the small stone platform, there were candles as thick as a child's arm. The faint light from the candles flickered brightly and dimly. Thanks to the sword intent, Yi-chun wasn't scared by the dark environment. He started walking deeper into the corridor. After walking for a few 100 meters, a side road appeared on the right side of the corridor, and he could vaguely hear people talking. Looks like I'm not the only one here. Yi-chun thought for a while, then quietly walked into the side road. At the end of the side road, there was a luxurious, ancient hall. The crystal lamp on the ceiling of the hall never went out, emitting a soft and bright light, which brought a sense of security to the dark environment. Yi-chun looked down. There were 3 doors on the side of the hall, and each door was carved with different things. Right now, a group of disciples were fighting each other, trying to get into the hall first. My head disciple is Xue Hen, ranked 57th in the Hidden Dragon rank. Anyone who offends us, the invisible martial school, will die. Get the hell out of here. Huh. I am a disciple of the White Deer Cave, and my head disciple is Lu Zhao. The rest of you, get out of here. In the Heavenly Dream ancient region, life and death are all up to fate. If I kill you, who will know who killed you? Don't be stupid, Dai. Sounds of chi explosions came one after another. Even the crystal lamp on the ceiling of the hall started shaking, as if it was going to fall off at any second. Yi-chun was planning to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight, but he suddenly heard footsteps coming from behind him. They were not far away from here. If it was a normal martial disciple, he wouldn't care. He could just kill them. But this person's footsteps seemed to contain some kind of magical power. Each step seemed to contain a mountain-like power, but it gave off an oppressive feeling as if a storm was coming. Early clasping Yuan Realm Warrior. With this thought flashing across his mind, Yi-chun stepped out of the side road and came into the hall. Shoo! The fight paused for a second, and everyone's attention was on Yi-chun. Seeing the cloud patterns on Yi-chun's sleeves, a lot of people grinned viciously. Windy Nation's Sky Cloud Martial School, a disciple from a rank 9 martial institution. How dare he come here? He really doesn't know how to spell the word death. I have never killed a disciple from the Sky Cloud Martial School, but I have killed a disciple from the North Snow Martial Academy. It was so easy. I wonder how these people train themselves. Let's kill him first. That's right. These people have been fighting for a long time, but couldn't find a winner in a short time. Seeing Yi-chun show up, they immediately walked towards him with evil intentions, as if they were looking at a dead man. Yi-chun sneered, a bunch of reckless people. If it weren't for the fact that there was someone in the side road, I would have killed them already. Now I should just wait and see. Die. Before these people could attack first, a huge Zhenqi fist suddenly swooshed out from the side road. The Zhenqi fist was extremely condensed. It was as huge as a mountain, piercing through the entire hall at an amazing speed. Bang, 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 bang. Almost half of the people were killed by the power of the fist. Their bodies were sent flying in the air. The Zhenqi fist's power didn't fade away. It even broke a thick pillar in the hall. Chapter 144. Such a strong fist power. Yi-chun raised his eyebrows. All the people in the hall were either at the child level or child level, but they couldn't even take a single punch, and half of them were either killed or wounded. A hidden dragon, ranking martial artist, is here. His fist power is as strong as a mountain. He is Lin Yu, ranked 70th in the hidden dragon ranking. Run. Every 10 years, more than 60% of the disciples in the Heavenly Dream ancient region were killed by hidden dragon, ranking martial artists, and only a small part of them died in the hunt of ancient demonic beasts. In the eyes of these disciples, every hidden dragon ranking martial artist was a killer. They had to run as fast as they could, otherwise they would definitely die. No one knew who took the lead, but all of the surviving disciples fled in all directions. Soon, only Yi-chun and 7 or 8 corpses were left in the hall. Tap, tap. The sound of footsteps grew clearer and clearer. A sturdy figure slowly appeared in Yi-chun's sight. He was over 2 meters tall, and as sturdy as a mountain. He was Lin Yu, the head disciple of the Dragon Tiger Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Elephant Mountain country, and was ranked 70th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. Lin Yu glanced at the corpses on the ground, then turned to Yi Chun and said with a slight surprise, "Why didn't you run?" In his eyes, Yi Chun was only a late condensing reality realm martial artist. He hadn't even reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Although those who could enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region were all outstanding martial artists from their institutions, they were still not strong enough. With his early clasping Yuan realm cultivation, who would care about a late condensing reality realm martial artist? Yichen gave a faint smile and said, "I'm also interested in the treasures in there. Why should I run?" "Oh, it seems like you're quite confident. But too bad. Those who are not powerful enough and overconfident usually die early. They will never be able to make a name for themselves." Lin Yu held his hands behind his back. He didn't take Yichen seriously at all. He wasn't afraid that Yichen would launch a sneak attack on him. "Why don't you try?" Yichen knew that no matter how much he said, he had to prove himself with his own power. Otherwise, Lin Yu would only treat him as a pushover. A strange look flashed across Lin Yu's eyes. Yichen clearly knew that Lin Yu was a martial artist ranked in the Hidden Dragon ranking, but he was still so confident. Lin Yu couldn't understand where Yi Chun got his confidence from. Did he really think that he could fight against Lin Yu? The latter possibility was very small. How could the other party's sect let a hot-headed person enter? Wasn't that sending him to his death? Thinking of this, Lin Yu laughed out loud. "Good, you got guts. If you could take a punch from me, Lin Yu, will never embarrass you again." "One punch? I'll take it." Yichen didn't intend to fight head-on with the other party because he wasn't confident that he could kill the other party. Of course, the other party wouldn't be able to kill him either. Clang! As soon as the hidden cloud sword was unsheathed, Yi Chen's aura changed. An astonishing sharpness gathered, condensed, sublimated, and transformed. His whole body was like a divine sword that was about to be unsheathed, piercing through the void. Was sharp sword aura? No, there seems to be a hint of sword intent. Could it be that this person has already comprehended sword intent? Lin Yu didn't really believe that Yi Chun had already comprehended sword intent. He thought that it was some kind of change brought about by the special sword art he had been practicing. Therefore, he let out a great shout and launched a punch. Break! The mountain-heavy punch hadn't even hit the ground yet, but the ground had already cracked and collapsed. The surrounding walls let out a series of creaking noises and then broke into pieces. This punch was powerful enough to kill an ordinary early clasping Yuan realm martial artist and break a 100-meter-tall hill. Yi Chen's hair and clothes fluttered in the air, as if he would be blown away and shattered by the punch at any moment. His eyes were sharp, and he launched the hidden cloud sword. Puff! A thin sword mark appeared in the air, extending straight towards the punch. At that moment, all the crystal lamps in the hall seemed to have lost their colors, and the only thing left in the hall was that sword mark. Pop! Pop! The sound of the explosion resounded for hundreds of times, and the frequency of the explosion was so high that it could even penetrate people's eardrums. After that, the two of them were both sent flying backwards. Sword intent. It's really the sword intent. Lin Yu steadied his body, and his face was filled with amazement. While he was still flying backwards, Yi Chun had already skillfully sheathed his sword, lightly landed on the ground, raised his head, and said, "Thank you for letting me win." Lin Yu responded, "I'm a man of my word. I won't embarrass you anymore. But don't think that you can do whatever you want with only the sword intent." In the last Hidden Dragon ranking competition, there were a few disciples who had comprehended the sword intent, but none of them were invincible. Of course I know that. Yichen wasn't stupid enough to think that the sword intent was everything, and that he could easily kill Lin Yu. There were 3,000 great Daos, and the sword intent was only one of them, and the sword intent was only a sublimation of the sword art. It didn't mean that Yi Chun was qualified to look down upon the whole world. After all those powerful martial artists were extremely powerful, and none of them could surpass their own cultivation levels. Patter, patter, patter. Yi Chun and Lin Yu didn't intend to continue the fight. Just when they were about to open two of the three doors, they heard faint footsteps coming from the other side of the door. The footsteps were very rhythmic, from the beginning to the end, and then to the beginning again, the same time, as if the footsteps were both intentional and natural. If one had to describe it with one word, it would be copy. Indeed, only copy could perfectly explain the rhythm of the footsteps. Although they hadn't seen the person yet, both Yi Chun and Lin Yu's expressions changed. This guy is very powerful, and his footsteps seem familiar. Lin Yu knitted his eyebrows, trying his best to recall. In the next moment, Lin Yu exclaimed in a low voice, "It's the young Master Devil, Yin Wuqing." The young Master Devil, Yin Wuqing. Soon, information about Yin Wuqing emerged in Yi Chen's mind. Yin Wuqing was the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Nation's Rank 7 institution, the Brute Devil Martial School, ranked 45th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. Among the 13 Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists from the 9 nations, he was one of the 2 who hadn't reached the Clasping Yuan realm yet. I thought this guy hasn't reached the Clasping Yuan realm yet. Yichen had been wondering about this for a long time. Luo Hanzhan had told him that the top 50 of the Hidden Dragon ranking were all Clasping Yuan realm martial artists. But how did Yin Wuqing manage to get into the top 50? Lin Yu asked confusedly. Haven't you heard about the young Master Devil, Yin Wuqing? Even early Clasping Yuan realm martial artists are afraid of him. Even the Bloodless Blade, Mo Wuxiue, and the Killing Eagle wouldn't dare to confront him face to face. Yichen shook his head. He had just reached the Clasping Yuan realm not long ago, so he didn't know much about the outside world. Perhaps the 4 young masters of the Windy Nation would know more about him. The Brute Devil Martial School is the same as the Evil Blood Martial School. They're both evil martial institutions. Their disciples practice evil martial arts, and the martial art that Yin Wuqing practices is even more special. It's called the Earth Devil Body Refining Art. It focuses on the cultivation of the body, making the body as tough as iron, impervious to all kinds of weapons, and impervious to fire and water. Apart from this, the progress of the martial artist who practices this martial art will be very slow, but with every step, the martial artist's power will rise at an incredible speed. With this Earth Devil Body Refining Art, Yin Wuqing managed to defeat a few early Clasping Yuan realm martial artists in the Hidden Dragon ranking and won the 45th place. Although we've all reached the Clasping Yuan realm now, no one dares to underestimate him. Yichen asked, "May I know the rank of this Earth Devil Body Refining Art?" Lin Yu responded, "I heard it's a mid-rank Earth realm martial art." A mid-rank Earth realm martial art. No wonder, it's even a rank higher than my pure Jade body boosting spell. It seems that the martial art that our leader Luo Xinglia practices is only a mid-rank Earth realm martial art. Yichen thought. The footsteps stopped, and a young man's silhouette appeared in their line of sight. The young man was neither too tall nor too short. He was tall and slim, and even looked a bit scrawny. However, in Yi Chun and Lin Yu's eyes, this young man gave off a strong feeling that he was invincible, as if he himself was a weapon. "Lin Yu, are you trying to stop me?" The young man coldly stared at Lin Yu. Lin Yu laughed out loud and responded, "How could I dare to stop the young Master Devil? There are 3 doors here. Let's each take one." "What? Is he qualified?" Yin Wuqing's eyes fell on Yi Chun. Lin Yu shook his head. "Don't underestimate him. He has already attained the sword intent. Just now, he and I exchanged a move, and it ended in a draw." "Ah, he's qualified then." Yin Wuqing was a bit surprised. People who had attained the sword intent were all-powerful, and he had already seen it during the Hidden Dragon rank competition. Therefore, he would not underestimate him. "Let's mind our own business. Otherwise, Lin Yu, would never be afraid of anyone." While speaking, Lin Yu walked towards the middle door. The young Master Devil walked toward the right door. Yichen didn't care which door he chose, because before he opened it, no one would know what was inside. On the other side, Lin Yu slightly raised his voice. In front of the door, an invisible screen was blocking his way, preventing him from opening it. "Break!" Lin Yu threw out a punch, and a strong fist power condensed into a solid shape, striking on the invisible screen. Buzz! The screen didn't break, but ripples spread out. Lin Yu didn't believe it. He boosted up all of his Jun Qi and threw out 3 punches in a row. Bang, bang, bang. The invisible screen vibrated intensely, twisting and showing signs of breaking. After that, Lin Yu threw out the 4th punch and shattered the screen. On the other side, the young master devil sneered. He reached out his smooth, jade-like palm and clenched his fist. He didn't release even a little bit of Jin Qi, but directly punched on the invisible screen. Pop! A large part of the invisible screen was dented. Before it bounced back, it was punched for the 2nd time, then the 3rd time. Before the 4th punch was launched, Yin Wuqing grabbed the dented part of the screen with both of his hands and tore it apart. Bang! The invisible screen was torn apart by Yin Wuqing. Even Yi Chun was shocked by his great strength, and silently thought that he couldn't compete with Yin Wuqing at all. When the two of them walked into the door, Yi Chun pulled out the hidden cloud sword and hit the same spot 3 times in a row. Puff! The invisible screen was punctured and disappeared. Carrying the iron spear on his back and holding the sword in his right hand, Yi Chun opened the door and walked in. There was nothing in the room except for a black coffin, which was placed in the middle of the room. Is this a tomb? Yi Chun had a bad feeling because the coffin gave him a weird feeling, as if there was something horrible in it. At this moment, a raging roar came from Lin Yu's room, followed by an earth-shaking sound of fighting, which even shook the entire room and hall. Creak! The thick lid of the coffin suddenly moved a little bit to the side, showing a crack. From the crack, 2 beams of green light darted out like ghosts. Chapter 145. Yi Chun frowned inwardly. These 2 beams of green light gave him an evil feeling, full of evil and cruelty. Plus, they also carried a numbing power that made his hands and feet feel weak. But he was a martial artist who had learned the sword intent after all, which made him invincible. He snorted and cut off the connection with the green light. Crack! The lid of the coffin suddenly flew up, and a human figure stood up from inside. Cut! Yi Chun reacted quickly and threw out a sword attack. Clang! Sparks splashed out, but this sharp sword attack failed to cut open the body of the man. Illo! The human figure let out a wolf howl as he bounced on his knees, jumping towards Yi Chun at lightning speed. His 2 arms pulled back and released, stabbing out like 2 sharp blades. The room was very dark, and there was no light source. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chun could still see the face and body shape of the man. He was shocked when he saw the man's face. It was not a man at all, but a black-colored zombie. The zombie's shriveled body was scrunched up, shining with a metallic luster. Its green eyes had lost all human emotions. Only cruelty, strangeness, bloodthirstiness, cruelty, and all the evil things in the world could be seen in those eyes. The zombie's movement was a bit stiff, but its explosive speed was quite fast. Yi Chun leaned to the side and moved 10 meters away. In the next moment, the hard wall was punctured and torn apart. The zombie tilted its head and locked its evil green eyes on Yi Chun. Of course, Yi Chun did not show any mercy. He waved the hidden cloud sword, and 2 sharp sword chi shot out, one from the left and one from the right, aiming at the zombie's eyes. Since he had comprehended the sword intent, his attacking speed and power had been greatly improved, and he was no weaker than an early clasping Yuan realm warrior. It was able to react in an extremely short period of time. Its shriveled head tilted back slightly, dodging the sword chi on the left. As for the other sword chi, it missed its eyes due to the target's movement and struck its cheek instead. A few sparks flew out, and the zombie's cheek was cut open. What kind of zombie is this? Even the sword chi couldn't hurt it. Yi Chun clearly saw that when the sword chi cut the zombie's cheek, there was a green light, which blocked most of the attack power. Roar! The zombie felt dizzy after being hit by the sword chi. Without thinking, it opened its horrifying, stinky mouth and spat out a ball of green light towards Yi Chun. The wall was instantly corroded, and the smell of the green gas was nauseating. Yi Chun was forced out of the room and returned to the luxurious hall. He turned his head sideways and found that both Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing were there, and their opponents were zombies as well. What bad luck to actually encounter a martial zombie here. Lin Yu's sleeves were torn, and his clothes were a bit messy. Just now, when he walked into the coffin, He didn't find anything, so he directly opened the coffin lid. Unexpectedly, a zombie suddenly jumped out from the coffin, and its two arms nearly pierced through his chest. If he hadn't activated a defensive skill before, he would have been dead by now. Martial zombies? Yichen was a bit confused. Yin Wuqing explained, under special circumstances, a martial artist's Zhen Qi won't dissipate after he or she dies. Instead, it will mix with the corpse Qi, and, after a long time, the corpses of these martial artists will become immortal. However, if a living human comes to this place at this time, the rich Zhen Qi contained in these corpses will cause the corpses of these martial artists to change into martial zombies, and they will become bloodthirsty martial zombies. Martial zombies are extremely strong and are almost invulnerable. In terms of physical strength, martial zombies are even more powerful than demonic beasts at the same level. If I'm not wrong, these three martial zombies used to be early clasping Yuan realm martial artists, and after they become martial zombies, they will become 5th grade martial zombies. However, they haven't been able to control the corpse Qi contained in their bodies yet. Lin Yu nodded and said, "It's said that the ghost artist, one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 evil cult, was a martial zombie. However, he was different from ordinary martial zombies. Because of some special reasons, he regained his intelligence and became even more cunning and insidious than human beings. What's more, as a martial zombie, he was able to turn living martial artists into martial zombies. According to him, those martial zombies were called elite corpses. From high to low, they were called iron plate corpses, bronze plate corpses, silver plate corpses, gold plate corpses, and so on. The ghost artist was a martial zombie? This was the first time for Yichen to hear about such a thing, but he had heard about bronze plate corpses. When he was helping the Ling family to complete a mission in the Red Blood Forest, he and his family ran into some ghost guards under the ghost artist's command. One of the ghost guards had even threatened to turn Yichen into a bronze plate corpse. Martial zombies are coming out. Be careful. Don't let them hurt you, or you'll be infected by the corpse poison. While speaking, Lin Yu's clothes fluttered in the air, even though there was no wind. He abruptly launched a punch, and the fierce fist power transformed into a huge cauldron, pressing towards the martial zombie in the middle. Clang! The room-sized Zhen Qi cauldron weighed over 1,000 kilograms, directly pressing the martial zombie into the ground. The martial zombie couldn't even crawl out for a short while, and could only let out shrill screams. Earth Devil's body-shattering cut. Yin Wuqing restrained his Zhen Qi, formed a sawtooth-shaped, dark purple light ring on the edge of his palm. He moved as fast as a bolt of lightning, and fiercely hacked on the neck of the other martial zombie. This palm strike was way too sharp and powerful. It sent the martial zombie flying away, bumping against the wall. A wound was left on the neck, but no blood was spilled out. Illo! The last martial zombie bent its knees and sprung up, darting straight towards Yichen, who was holding the hidden cloud sword and standing motionlessly. "I've been waiting for you, Starling Cloud." Yichen raised the hidden cloud sword high with his right hand and injected waves of Zhen Qi into the sword. The strong sword aura released from the sword made the surrounding airflow spin at a high speed. Cut! Yichen swung the sword out. An incomparably thick stream of sword Qi, which looked like a gigantic pair of scissors, sliced the air open and accurately hit the martial zombie from its chest to its neck. Puff! Iron-like minced meat flew in the air, and a bone-deep slash appeared on the martial zombie's chest. Its solid body was instantly lifted up from the ground and heavily smashed against a stone pillar. The stone pillar collapsed, and the martial zombie's body was pressed under a huge rock. The Zhen Qi cauldron shook violently. Lin Yu gave a bitter smile and said, "I can't. Although these few martial zombies can't control their corpse Qi at will, their defensive power and strength are all at the same level as 5th-rank martial zombies. It's impossible to kill them within a short period of time. I can only barely push them back." Yin Wuqing said coldly, "Martial zombies are incredibly powerful. A 7th-rank martial zombie, raised by our barbarian devil martial school, once killed an early astral-reaching realm martial artist." Everyone knew that the barbarian devil martial school had been raising martial zombies, and Yin Wuching wasn't afraid of the consequences. Not to mention that the comprehensive power of the Barbarian Devil Martial School was even greater than that of the Evil Blood Martial School. As one of the top-rank 7 martial institutions, ordinary rank 7 martial institutions couldn't be compared with them. Looking at the martial zombie that crawled out from the pile of rocks, Yi Chun felt helpless for the first time. He hesitated whether he should use the heart refining or not, but after thinking for a while, he decided not to. This was not a life-or-death moment. There was no need for him to expose his most powerful martial skill. Not to mention that he was sure that Lin Yu and Yin Wuching also had their most powerful martial skills that they hadn't used yet. Besides, even if he used the heart refining, he might not be able to kill the martial zombie. It would at most injure it severely. If he used the heart refining for a few more times, it would consume too much of his spiritual power, which was not wise. Explode. On the other side, Lin Yu couldn't suppress the martial zombie any longer. He made a prompt decision and cast a secret magic to explode his Zhen Qi cauldron. The fierce airwaves generated by the explosion shook the entire hall. Fist-sized rocks fell down from the ceiling, and quite a few crystal lamps were extinguished. The martial zombie that had just crawled up from the ground couldn't help but be thrown into the air, landing beside the dead body of the martial artist. Crack! Crack! What happened next was shocking. The martial zombie tore off the arm of the dead martial artist, threw it into its mouth, and started chewing. Blood splashed everywhere, and sharp teeth grinding noises resounded through the entire hall. The other 2 martial zombies were also attracted by this. They grabbed a dead martial artist and started gnawing on it. Yin Wuching's facial expression changed. Don't let them eat enough blood and meat. Once they have enough power, they will become real 5th-grade martial zombies, and they will be able to release their corpse chi to attack their enemies, just like normal martial artists. Kill. While speaking, Yin Wuching had already rushed over. Bean-sized, faintly discernible black scales emerged on his white skin, which looked even more terrifying than martial zombies. He looked just like a human-shaped killing machine. Bang! The martial zombie that was closest to Yin Wuching was sent flying away once it touched Yin Wuching's body. It was punched and kicked 4 times in the air, making it howl in pain. Dual cauldron competition. Lin Yu understood the severity of the situation. A cyan-yellow stream of Zhen Qi burst out from his body and rose into the air. He then clenched his fists and quickly closed them. Boom! The 2 room-sized cauldrons encircled the martial zombie, which had been happily eating, and fiercely clashed against each other. Waves of shockwaves spread out in all directions, tearing all surrounding corpses into pieces. Perhaps it had eaten quite a lot of corpses. A green stream of Zhen Qi burst out from this martial zombie's body, shielding it in the middle. Nevertheless, the 2 cauldrons clashed against each other, adding up and shaking each other, crazily damaging the martial zombie's body. In this case, I have no choice but to slowly wear down the martial zombie's defense. Although he couldn't use the heart refining, Yi Chun still had another sword move. This sword move might not be as powerful as the shocking cloud sword art, but after a long period of research, he had found a new use for it. Therefore, he might as well try it on the martial zombie first. Thinking of this, the sharp aura released from Yi Chun's body grew stronger and stronger, along with a faint sense of mountain power. Taking a step forward, Yi Chun launched a seemingly slow but actually fast sword move. Mountain Condensed Sword Chi. Boom! Not only did the sword chi that was as thick as a mountain send the martial zombie flying, it even pinned it against the wall, unable to move. What was even more frightening was that the sword chi did not dissipate. Instead, it continued to grind against the martial zombie's chest, again and again, endlessly. What kind of sword move is this? Seeing the sword chi continuously wearing down the martial zombie's defense, Lin Yu couldn't help but gasp in shock. Yin Wuching also glanced at Yi Chun in surprise. Before, he had only acknowledged Yi Chun's power and didn't want to become enemies with him. But now, he truly didn't want to be enemies with Yi Chun anymore. He thought that Yi Chun had already exhausted all of his abilities, but unexpectedly, Yi Chun also had more powerful skills than them, and who knew whether he had more powerful skills or not. This man can't be underestimated. That was Ian Wuching's thought. The martial zombie struggled intensely. However, the mountain-heavy sword Qi had disabled it from moving, and it could only let itself be slaughtered by Yi Chun. Chapter 146. Yi Chun, who had been maintaining the posture of wielding the sword, couldn't stand it any longer. This stream of sword Qi was connected with his own Jin Qi, and every second, he would consume a great amount of Jin Qi. Of course, if he and that martial zombie were the only ones here, he would be able to kill that martial zombie at one go. But sadly, he was not. He couldn't guarantee that no accidents would happen when he ran out of Jin Qi. Yi Chun took back the hidden cloud sword, and the mountain-like stream of sword Qi finally disappeared. The martial zombie, which had been squeezed into the wall, was in an extremely miserable state. Its body was nearly cut into two by the sword Qi, and its pitch-black internal organs and spine were clearly visible. Illo! The martial zombie let out a shrill roar, and streams of green airflow burst out from its pitch-black bones and muscles, trying its best to close and reconnect its broken chest. How can I let you get what you want? Yi Chun took out the iron spear from his back, then stomped his foot against the ground and darted out, transforming into a blood-red stream of light. Boom! The spear directly nailed on the broken chest of the martial zombie, and a raging flame instantly wrapped the martial zombie up, turning it into a human-shaped torch. Crackle! The flame seemed to have a restraining effect on the body of the martial zombie. As Yi Chun continued injecting his Jun Qi into the spear, the flame on the spear grew stronger and stronger, and the temperature grew higher and higher. Even the martial zombie's bones and muscles began to soften, like a candle, with sticky liquid dripping down from it. Yi Chun's eyes shone. Just now, he had been thinking that the flame might be able to restrain the martial zombie, but he didn't expect it to be so effective. It was even more effective than a full-strength sword attack of his. However, ordinary Jun Qi flames shouldn't be this powerful, most likely because the iron spear was a low-grade, great treasure, and the flame power contained in it was even more powerful. Thinking of this, Yi Chun didn't have any other thoughts. He gripped the iron spear with both of his hands and pinned the martial zombie against the wall. Aolo, Aolo, Aolo. The martial zombie had already suffered a severe injury, and at the moment, its body was burning with a raging flame. Instantly, it howled like a wolf, and the sound waves spread out in all directions. Damn, martial zombies are afraid of fire, so that's why. Lin Yu pondered for a while, then took out a handful of orange-yellow explosive pills from his pocket. Explosive pills weren't very powerful. Even if the explosion range was very close, it could only injure an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist and couldn't kill him instantly, compared to the silver light thunderbolt bomb and the red light fireball bomb. However, compared to the latter, explosive pills were the most commonly used weapons nowadays. The reason was simple. Explosive pills could be produced in small quantities, while the manufacturing methods of the silver light thunderbolt bomb and the red light fireball bomb had long been lost in history. The Sky Cloud Martial School had almost used up all the silver light thunderbolt bomb that Luo Hanshan had brought back last time, and they would never have another one in the future. Neither would they be able to produce another one, unless they could find an ancient ruin and find a silver light thunderbolt bomb. But of course, explosive pills weren't easy to find. Among the 9 nations, only a few institutions had the manufacturing methods of explosive pills, and the Dragon Tiger Martial School, where Lin Yu was from, was one of them. If the other institutions wanted explosive pills, they would have to buy them at a high price. As for robbing the manufacturing methods of explosive pills, they would rarely happen. After all, the Dragon Tiger Martial School was a mid-grade rank 7 institution. Even if a top-grade rank 7 institution wanted to rob them, they would have to prepare to die together with them. Otherwise, the other institutions would take advantage of the situation. However, a rank 6 institution wouldn't destroy a rank 7 institution just for the manufacturing methods of explosive pills. Perhaps they had even more powerful weapons. After all, the power of a rank 6 institution was beyond anyone's imagination. While the zombie was howling, Lin Yu reacted quickly and threw a handful of explosive pills towards it. The howling stopped abruptly. Except for a few explosive pills, most of the explosive pills were swallowed by the zombie. Bang, 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 bang. Almost instantaneously, a series of explosive sounds came from inside and outside the zombie's body. In the next moment, wisps of fiery light darted out from the zombie's eyes, nose, mouth, along with puffs of smoke. Ian Wuching paused for a second. He didn't have any fire attribute low-grade treasured weapon. Neither did he have any explosive pills. It seemed that he could only rely on his physical strength to solve this problem. Without thinking too much, Ian Wuching took out a pair of gloves made of black silk from his clothes, which were shining with the cold light. He put them on and activated his Zhen Qi. Immediately, a curved, dark purple Zhen Qi blade emerged from the glove, sticking closely to the edge of his palm. This pair of gloves were low-grade treasured weapons given to him by their leader, the gold-splitting gloves. He rarely used them before, because he believed that his physical strength was more than enough. Earth Devil's body-shattering cut. Ian Wuching moved as fast as a bolt of lightning and launched a hack on the zombie's neck. The cut on the zombie's neck had already healed a lot, leaving only a shallow cut on the zombie's neck. But now, the zombie's neck was sliced open by Lin Yu and Ian Wuching. Lin Yu and Ian Wuching's moves were seen by Yi Chun. He gave a faint smile and injected his Zhen Qi into the iron spear, firmly suppressing the zombie. No matter how hard the zombie roared, it couldn't move even a little bit. A small half of its iron-hard bones and muscles had already melted, and the zombie had lost its human shape. Explode. The situation was already set. Yi Chun swallowed a Zhen Qi replenishing pill, then flicked his wrist. Following his move, a raging flame burst out from the zombie's body. Clatter. The zombie's badly mutilated body fell on the ground and turned into a pile of melted meat. You two, I'll be going now. Yi Chun didn't have a close relationship with these two, neither did he plan to explore the tomb together. Once he killed the zombie with a single spear attack, he immediately wanted to separate from them. Haha, this tomb is vast. It's better for us to separate. Lin Yu was about to kill the zombie for good. Hearing Ian Wuching, he laughed out loud and didn't seem to care. Ian Wuching didn't say anything. In fact, if he killed the zombie first, he would definitely make the same choice as Yi Chun. This tomb was vast, and there were many treasures in it. All right, see you later. Flashing across the air, Yi Chun darted into one of the tunnels and disappeared. Lin Yu took back his sight and said to Ian Wuching, "This year's Hidden Dragon ranking competition will probably have many changes. Ian Wuching, your cultivation is a bit low. You'd better figure out a way to keep your position." The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is one of the 4 great inherited ancient places in the South Shore region. The other 3 places are controlled by institutions from other countries. Once they're open one by one, many people will break into the clasping Yuan realm. Ian Wuching said blandly, "You're right. The Hidden Dragon ranking has its ups and downs, but this year is the most prosperous one. All kinds of powerful martial geniuses have gathered here, and without great abilities, no one can beat all of their peers." The tunnels in the tomb were connected to all directions. On the way, Yi Chun saw many dead bodies of disciples from different institutions. Some of them had killed each other, some had their brains eaten by some unknown creatures, and some had been slapped on the walls and turned into a pile of bloody meat. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region opens once every 10 years, and every time it opens, it's not only an opportunity, but also a fatal disaster. Before, at least half of the people could come out alive, but this time it's already not bad if only half of them could come out alive. No wonder people say that powerful martial artists walk on mountains of corpses and oceans of blood, and they've killed countless people. Yi Chun sighed slightly. In this world that was filled with powerful martial artists, only by growing stronger step by step could one protect himself. Those ordinary people seemed to live a peaceful life and stood aloof from worldly affairs. But when faced with natural disasters, how could they have the power to protect themselves? But of course, even without these reasons, Yi Chun wouldn't want to live an ordinary life. The world of martial artists was just the tip of the iceberg, and he hadn't seen anything interesting yet. In his eyes, if he couldn't live a vigorous life, it would be such a pity. Besides, there was a famous saying in the world where he came from, live as a hero and die as a hero. No matter where he was, he had to live an exciting life. Unknowingly, Yichen arrived in front of a huge tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there was a stone gate, and on both sides of the gate stood two ferocious-looking stone beasts. The stone beasts' heads were flat, and there were two burning candles on their heads, releasing a faint fiery light. Taking a deep breath, Yichen pulled out the hidden cloud sword and walked towards the gate step by step. Swoosh! Suddenly, a small black shadow darted out from a small hole on the side. It flashed a cold light and attacked towards Yichen's face. Die! Yichen had a sharp sense of danger. He pierced the black shadow's head with his sword. Puff! The black shadow fell on the ground, let out a shrill scream, and ran away. There's so many weird things in this tomb. Yichen had already seen the black shadow's appearance clearly. It was a monkey-like, skinny, hairless monster. Yichen's sword strike had only left a deep sword mark on the monster's face. It didn't kill it completely. After that, another 7 or 8 monkey-like monsters attacked Yichen, but all of them were wounded and ran away. However, the strange screams they made before they ran away made the tunnel even weirder. When he was only 30 steps away from the gate, Yichen stopped and swung his sword sideways. The sword chi, which was strong enough to make a candle flame lose its color, hit on the relief on the wall. Crack! The relief was shattered, and an even bigger, monkey-like monster darted out. There was a deep sword mark on its chest. Demonic beast? Zombie? If Yichen had guessed it right, both the monkey-like monsters from before and the one in front of him were zombies that had been sealed on the wall. Once they smelled the blood of a living person, they would break out of the wall and start eating human flesh. This monkey-like monster had a huge body. It was more than 3 meters tall. There was no hair on its body, and its skinny skin was as hard as iron. It was very hard for Sword Chi to kill it. Letting out a horrifying scream, the monkey-like monster attacked towards Yichen with its claw. Puff! It was fast, but Yichen was even faster. The iron spear on his back jumped out and was grabbed by Yichen, who then stabbed it into the monkey-like monster's open mouth. Explode! 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 The explosion was heard, and the monkey-like monster was pushed back. The skin on its face was melted by the red flame, and it could not fight back at all. Yichen put more power into his arm and pushed the monkey-like monster back into the wall with the iron spear, burning it alive. Seeing that the monkey-like monster was dead, Yichen pulled out his iron spear and walked to the stone door. There was a handle mechanism next to the stone door. Yichen grabbed the handle and pushed it down. Rumble! The stone door opened, and there was a secret room inside. There was a bookshelf on one side of the secret room, and there were a few secret manuals on the bookshelf. Yichen walked straight to the bookshelf and picked up one of the manuals. Burning Sunheart Ripping Claw, low-rank Earth Realm Claw Art, has the power to melt gold and iron. He picked up another one. Blacking Finger, low-rank Earth Realm Finger Art. With one finger, the enemy's blood will freeze, and their meridians will be damaged. Chapter 147. There were a total of 3 low-rank Earth Realm manuals and 5 top-rank Mortal Realm manuals. If he were to exchange them with the sect, it would be 9,250 low-rank Spirit Stones, which was almost equivalent to all of Yichen's Spirit Stone savings. It was undoubtedly a huge fortune. Putting away the manuals, Yichen looked around. On the other side of the wall, there was a foot-long yellow gourd tied with a red string. With a wave of his hand, the yellow gourd fell into Yichen's hand. He shook it, and a small friction sound came from the gourd. Pellet! Without thinking, Yichen opened the cork of the gourd. Instantly, a fragrant smell came into his nose. Pouring one into his hand, Yichen took a closer look. The pellet was the size of a pinky finger, and it was crystal clear with a hint of yellow. There was a faint glow on the surface, and the fragrance was even more intense. Just by taking a breath of the fragrance, the Zhen Qi in his body had improved. Although he could not recognize the name and function of the pellet, Yichen knew that it was definitely not an ordinary item. After putting away the manuals and the pellet, there was nothing else in the secret chamber. Yichun let out a breath and walked out. The tomb was unimaginably large. The passageways inside extended in all directions. It was impossible to tell how many forks there were. It was like a maze. At first, he was curious, but as time went by, Yichun got tired of it. Anyone would be annoyed if they were to wander around in the winding tunnels. Plus, there were not as many treasures in this tomb as he had imagined. It was already commendable for Yichun to be able to find a secret chamber. After walking through a tunnel, a sword light suddenly shot out from the side. Courting death. Yichun did not even look at it as he twisted his sword back. Pucci, a martial disciple, fell to the ground with his hands on his neck, his eyes wide open. Taking a low-rank Earth Realm manual from the disciple, Yichun smiled bitterly. This person should have been trapped in the tomb as well, and could not get out. Unfortunately, at this moment, not only did he not find a way out, but he also killed people for their treasures. He deserved to die. On the other side of the tomb, rumble. A wall collapsed. Lin Yu growled in a low voice. Damn it. Where the hell is the exit? His luck wasn't as good as Yichun's. He only got one low-rank Earth Realm manual and 3 or 4 peak-rank Human Realm manuals from the disciples who were trapped in the tomb. He didn't get anything else. When he wanted to go out, he realized that he couldn't find the way back and was completely trapped in the tomb. I don't believe there are many walls in front of me. When Lin Yu became determined, he didn't care about anything else and kept walking in a straight line. No matter how many walls there were, he would smash them down. Compared to Yichun and Lin Yu, Yin Wuqing seemed to be much calmer. He took out a small and delicate wooden mouse from his bosom and embedded a low-grade spirit stone into its abdomen. Creak! The wooden mouse turned and ran in the other direction. Following closely behind the wooden mouse, Yin Wuqing quickly arrived at the intersection where he came from. There was also a wooden mouse. The 2 wooden mice were together. The lovesick mice are indeed more clever than humans. Putting away the 2 wooden mice, Yin Wuqing walked into the giant whirlpool and disappeared. 2 hours had passed. Hard work paid off. Yichun finally found the exit. Although it wasn't the entrance where he came from, he didn't have the time to think about it. He stepped into the whirlpool. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hearing the sound of wind, Yichun opened his eyes and saw nothing but emptiness around him. There seemed to be no end to it, and the misty clouds had gathered together. Lowering his head, he saw that the ground was getting bigger and bigger in his sight. He was in the air. This exit was indeed amazing. Activating the crane shadow steps, Yichun's body instantly became much lighter. He shook his arms and glided towards the highland far away. In front of the highland was a huge basin. In the middle of the basin, a fierce battle was taking place. 3 disciples were surrounding another disciple, and blood was spattering on the grassland. Yuan Hunkong, I've given you everything, don't go too far. The disciple who was being surrounded was wearing a blue robe. It was Lu Hanshan. The leading disciple laughed out proudly and said, I want everything, I want to kill you as well. What do you do to me? You can only blame yourself for being too weak. You're just taking advantage of the fact that you're outnumbered. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. If I die, I'll deserve it. If you lose, I won't kill you. What do you think? Lu Hanshan's eyes were gloomy. He knew that the situation was not in his favor. If he tried to save face, he would only end up dead. The only thing he could do was to hope that his opponent would accept a challenge and have a fair fight with him, so that he could find an opportunity to escape. As for killing this guy, he had never thought about it. This guy was Yuan Henjing's blood brother, who was known as the Eagle Killer. Yuan Henjing had always been protective of his people, not to mention his brother. Even if you killed a dog or a chicken, he would still kill your whole family. Yuan Hunkong said scornfully, Do you think I'm an idiot if I don't take advantage of you? Cut the crap, kill him. The 3 of them each launched their own attacks towards Lu Hanshan. East Rising Purple Chi, Great Monument Suppression. Facing 3 disciples who were just as powerful as him, Lu Hanshan boosted his Yun Chi to its limit, drew a bridge-like stream of purple mist from the air, and boosted his power to a great extent. After that, he threw out a gigantic purple monument to protect himself. Bang, bang, bang. The attacks launched by the three disciples were incomparably violent. The purple monument shook violently, and countless cracks appeared on it. Break. As a core disciple of the Sky Eagle Castle, which was a rank 7 institution, although Yuan Hongkong was not as powerful as his brother, he was definitely one of the most powerful martial artists under the clasping Yuan realm. He held a pair of purple golden hammers with both of his hands and heavily smashed on the monument. Crack! The monument was shattered, and blood gushed out of the corner of Lu Hanshan's mouth. Die! Yuan Hongkong laughed out loud, while swinging his hammers towards Lu Hanshan's head. Piss off! Lu Hanshan's eyes popped out, and he threw a punch towards the purple golden hammers. Clang! Fire sparks flew in all directions, and a strong shockwave spread out, even leaving a deep layer of grass on the ground. Right at this moment, another disciple took the opportunity to sneak up behind Lu Hanhan, ripped his protective Zhenqi apart, and pressed his palm on his back. Puff! Lu Hanhan let out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. He had suffered a serious internal injury. Let's see how you are going to take this. Yuan Hongkong's face twisted. He took a step forward and leapt high into the air, while his purple golden hammers burst out with a dazzling golden light, once again smashing towards Lu Hanhan. Puff! At this critical moment, a beam of sword qi darted over from afar and hacked on Yuan Hongkong's purple golden hammers. The purple golden hammers flew out of Yuan Hongkong's hands, and Yuan Hongkong was greatly shocked. He stepped back once his feet landed on the ground and regrouped with the other two disciples. Lu Hanhan turned around and said in surprise, "Brother Yi." A disciple lightly landed beside Lu Hanhan, and that was indeed Yi Chun. He glanced at Lu Hanhan, who was badly injured, frowned and said, "Brother Luo, you are injured. Compared to my life, a little injury is nothing." Seeing Yi Chun, Lu Hanhan secretly let out a sigh of relief. If the two of them joined hands, their chances of survival would be greatly increased. At least they wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Not to mention that he didn't know how powerful Yi Chun was. He could sense that Yi Chun's aura of sharpness was even more powerful than before. He estimated that Yi Chun had already reached the level of the North Snow Fast Blade Lynch. Yuan Hongkong glanced at Yi Chun and found that he was only at the late condensing reality realm. He grinned viciously and said, "Another one who wants to die. Just now you knocked away my purple golden hammers. I'm going to smash your head, tear you into 5 pieces, and scatter them on this basin. Brother Yuan, he has a low-rank great weapon. Kill him and take it." Indeed, look at the bulging big bag around his waist. There must be a lot more treasures. Yuan Hongkong picked up the purple golden hammers from the ground and said, "What's the rush? In my eyes, this guy is already a dead man. As for treasures, I can share some with you." "Thank you, Brother Yuan." Yi Chun sneered and said, "If you can take one sword attack from me, I will spare your lives." "Arrogant! How dare you? How dare you? We will kill you." The three of them showed an intense killing intent. They pushed their Zhenqi to its limit and rushed towards Yi Chun. Cut! Taking a step forward with his left foot, Yi Chun swung his sword down. Puff! A thick stream of sword qi flashed across the waists of the three disciples, leaving a 10-meter-long and meter-deep sword mark on the grassland behind them. Grass chips and mud flew up into the air. In the next moment, the bodies of the three disciples were cut in half and scattered on the ground. What? He killed 3 disciples with one sword attack. Lu Hanhan was so excited that he started coughing. Although he knew that Yi Chun was very powerful, he didn't think that he could be this powerful. He had killed 3 disciples who were at the same level as him with one sword attack. This was not something that Lynch could compete with. Even 3 Lynches wouldn't be able to do this. However, Yi Chun hadn't even reached the clasping Yuan realm yet. How could he be so powerful? No, that sword attack just now seemed to have absorbed all of my soul and spirit, as if it was the only thing left in the world. Could it be that Brother Yi Chun has already mastered the sword intent that all sword artists dream of? Brother Yi, was that the sword intent? Lu Hanhan hurriedly asked. Yi Chun nodded. It was indeed the sword intent, Haha, no wonder you could kill 3 people with one sword attack. A sword artist who has mastered the sword intent can challenge people who are at a higher level as easily as eating or drinking. This is not something that ordinary people can imagine. Lu Hanzhan was very happy. He was the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and everything he did was for the development of the school. Now, a peerless genius had emerged in the school, which would definitely make the Sky Cloud Martial School even more powerful in the future. But you killed Yuan Hengying's brother. This is not a simple thing. After the joy, Lu Hanzhan started to worry. Yuan Hengying, the killer eagle, was way more powerful than Yuan Hengkong. If he knew that Yi Chun had killed his brother, he would definitely chase after them at all costs. Although Yi Chun had mastered the sword intent and was able to kill any disciple under the clasping Yuan realm within a second, and was extremely powerful, he might still not be able to rival Yuan Hengying. Yi Chun said, "There's no one here anyway. It's not a big deal to kill him." "You're right. Let's get out of here as soon as possible." Lu Hanzhan didn't want to stay here any longer because he didn't want others to see them together with Yuan Hengkong's dead body. Not long after the two of them left, a human silhouette walked out from behind a tree on the high ground in the distance. He chuckled and said, "If we run into Yuan Hengying, we can use this as a life-saving talisman and ask him to let us go." Chapter 148. In a lush forest. Luo Hanzhan slowly let out a mouthful of foul air that contained a strong smell of blood, opened his eyes, and said, "Internal injuries can't be healed within a short period of time. Fortunately, I've already recovered 70 to 80% of my power." Yi Chun said, "Don't worry. The Heavenly Dream ancient region has just started. We can wait for a few days. This time, thanks to you, Brother Yi, otherwise I would have lost my life." Thinking about being surrounded and killed by those people, Luo Hanzhan still had a lingering fear. Yi Chun smiled and said nothing. 5 days passed in a flash. During the day, the two of them would wander around, looking for treasures, and at night, Lu Hanzhan would meditate to heal his wounds, while Yi Chun would absorb the Yuan Qi from spirit stones, try his best to break through to the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Early in the morning, the two of them had just come out of their meditative state when a 7-colored light soared into the sky thousands of miles to the east. It connected the heavens and the earth, piercing through the blue dome of heaven. "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has opened," Luo Hanzhan said in shock. Yi Chun nodded. The most important thing in the Heavenly Dream ancient region was not those treasures, manuals, or herbs, but the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, which could help people break through to the next level. Normally, this mysterious palace would not show up and would only open at a certain time. Some people speculated that only those with enough blood and qi could open the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace in advance, which was not completely unreasonable. Over 100 years ago, in order to avoid losing too many of their disciples, all of those institutions signed an agreement which stated that disciples from those institutions were not allowed to kill each other in the Heavenly Dream ancient region, or else they would be severely punished. However, even after everyone had been sent out, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace still hadn't appeared. "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has opened. Brother Luo, let's go." All right. The two of them activated their Qin Gong and flew towards the 7-colored light pillar. Once the colorful light beam appeared, all the disciples from all over the Heavenly Dream ancient region had seen it. "Ha! The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has finally opened. As long as you can get in, you will have a 10% chance of breaking into the clasping Yuan realm. I have been stuck at the peak of late condensing reality realm for more than a year. This time I have to succeed." "Huh, you guys are always going against me. Wait till I reach the clasping Yuan realm. I will crush you all one by one." "How arrogant. Just wait and see how I kill you in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace." Whether they were exploring alone or fighting with others, most of the sect disciples put down what they were doing and rushed toward the 7-colored light pillar with all their might. The airflow was like a blade, scraping over. Yi Chun and Luo Hanzhan were like two gigantic birds, flying in the air at an extremely high speed. Occasionally, they would land on top of a mountain. His ears twitching slightly, Yi-Chen lowered his head and noticed the scene at the foot of the mountain. Beside the clear river, a young girl and a young man were confronting each other. The girl's forehead was covered in sweat, and there were dozens of sword marks on her clothes. The strength of these sword marks was just right, only tearing her clothes and not hurting her skin. Dozens of steps away, the young man was calm and unruffled. He held his sword in his hand and looked like he had the situation under his control. "Little beauty, your qigong isn't bad, but it's a pity that you've met me, young Master Chun. Surrender obediently." The young man was wearing bright green clothes, and his eyes were full of arrogance and lust. His pair of cunning eyes stared at the girl's exposed skin, and he licked his lips from time to time. The girl's face was as cold as ice, and said, "I can't believe that a disciple of a big martial institution like you would do such a despicable thing. Even if you die, I won't let you off easily. Ha ha, in front of me, even if you want to die, it won't be that easy." The young man grinned evilly, shook the sword in his hand, and thrust it out. All of a sudden, the sword light was as bright as a spring breeze, so warm that people couldn't even raise their hands. When the girl realized what was going on, a sword had already been pressed against her neck, and that cold sword edge was only half an inch away from cutting her main artery. In the air, Luo Hanshan said to Yi-Chun, "This man is young Master Chun, the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Country's Rank 7 institution, the Zenith Dark Cult. He is ranked 72nd in the Hidden Dragon ranking, and he likes women. God knows how many girls or female disciples from big families have been harmed by him. Only because his grandfather is the Zenith Dark Cult's head elder, he has been safe and sound all this time. Since he's a pervert, I'll just kill him." Yi-Chen remained expressionless, pulled out his sword, and launched a hack. Beside the river, when young Master Chun was about to move, he suddenly felt that his body had gone cold, and then he lost consciousness. The river behind him was suddenly cut off, and a tens of meters long, deep sword mark appeared on the river. The girl sensed that something was wrong, so she activated her Jin Qi and leapt backwards. In the next moment, young Master Chun's body was cut in half from the middle. The cut was smooth and clean, and blood splashed out. Was there someone just now? The girl raised her head confusedly, revealing a beautiful face. It was Ji Shuyan, a core disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace. In her sight, two silhouettes flashed past above her head, turning into tiny black dots within a blink of an eye. However, she soon recognized Yi-Chun because the sharp aura released from his body had become even sharper. Pursing her lips, Ji Shuyan had a complicated look on her face. She still remembered what she had said to Yi-Chen a year ago. Dragons don't live with snakes. It's impossible for them to be together. But now, it seemed that it was indeed true that dragons don't live with snakes. But their roles had been completely reversed. She was the snake, and Yi-Chan was the real dragon, a real dragon that was showing its true power, soaring in the sky. Thinking of this, Ji Shuyan bit her lips so hard that blood started flowing out. 1,000 miles might be a long distance for ordinary people, and it would take them 10 days to half a month to get there, but for late condensing reality realm warriors, it would only take them half an hour. Stepping on the ground, Lu Hanshan raised his head and looked around, then said in shock, "This colorful light beam has covered the entire lake with a radius of tens of miles. No wonder we can see it so clearly from thousands of miles away, as if it's right in front of our eyes." Yi-Chen was also shocked. The colorful light beam had a diameter of tens of miles, and its height was immeasurable. It had already pierced through the sky and reached deep into the void. No one knew how far the colorful light beam had reached. It was as if the entire heavenly dream ancient region had been shrouded by this light beam. More and more disciples rushed over and gathered around the lake. The heavenly dream battle palace must be under the lake. Let's go down first. A core disciple from one of the institutions didn't change his direction and rushed into the colorful light beam. What happened next was horrifying. This colorful light beam was like a beam of light that could destroy the starry sky. Those disciples who had rushed into the light beam didn't even have the time to let out a scream before their bodies silently disintegrated and merged with the colorful light beam. Those who followed behind couldn't stop their bodies. Some had their arms disintegrated, some had their heads disintegrated, some had half of their bodies disintegrated, but not even a single drop of blood flowed out from the wounds. Divine light of extinction. This is the divine light of extinction. Someone yelled out. Hearing this, Lu Hanzhan frowned and said, "The divine light of extinction only exists in the top sky. I didn't expect that the heavenly dream ancient region would also have it. If it really is the divine light of extinction, even Sea of Souls realm warriors wouldn't be able to get through it. Only life and death realm warriors could rely on their defensive power to get in, but it would still be dangerous. Is this divine light of extinction really that powerful?" Yi Chun saw that the colorful light beam looked like a dream. He thought that it didn't have any destructive power. But now, it seemed that the more beautiful something was, the more destructive it would be. Lu Hanzhan nodded and said, "There are many kinds of Yuan Qi in this world. Some Yuan Qi can combine in pairs and form a destructive Qi, and if more Yuan Qi is combined, it can transform into a divine light. Some of these divine lights can heal wounds. Some can make people hundreds of times more energetic, and some could be even more powerful. For example, this divine light of extinction, anything that is shrouded by it will be turned into ashes, including souls, which will completely disappear from this world." While the two of them were talking, over 100 people had gathered around the lake, and the number was growing rapidly. Lu Hanzhan, Brother Yi. Two silhouettes flew over. They were Zhu Mei and Su Jing. Yi Chun asked, "Eldest sister, senior sister Su, are you all right?" Zhu Mei grinned and said, "We're lucky. We met each other not long after we were teleported in. I'm a bit ashamed, but I think I should give up my position as the eldest sister. Junior sister Su Jing is even more powerful than I thought." Su Jing didn't say anything. Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists are here as well. In Yi Chun's sight, Imo Wushua, Yuan Heng Ying, Hong Qianjun, Wei Dongxi, and the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists had all arrived. Disciples of our evil blood martial school, come here. Disciples of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, what are you waiting for? Disciples of the Multiple Mountain Martial School, gather. Disciples of the Cyan Bamboo Martial School, as early clasping Yuan realm martial artists, the few of them gathered their disciples once they arrived. After that, all the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists followed suit. Not far behind Yi Chun, Ji Shuyan had just arrived. She glanced at Yi Chun's back with a complicated look, then walked towards young Master Emerald, Zhuang Fei. Another half an hour later, the number of people standing around the lake had reached over 400. Except for one or two people who occasionally arrived, almost all of them had arrived. There were over 600 people when we came in, but now only around 400 are left. Those who died were all the best disciples of their institutions. Luo Hanzhan sighed. Zhu Mei said happily, "Our Sky Cloud Martial School is still okay. All four of us are still here. You see, some of our institutions have all lost their disciples. None of them survived, and some of our institutions only have one disciple left. A general success is built on thousands of bones." Yi Chun murmured in his head. Another half an hour later, no one else arrived. At this moment, the eagle killer, Yuan Heng Ying, suddenly growled out, "Where's my brother Yuan Hengkong? Why isn't he here yet? Haven't you seen him? Have you seen my brother Yuan Hengkong? Tell me." Randomly grabbing a disciple who didn't even dare to look at him, Yuan Heng Ying's voice was filled with a strong killing intent. I don't know." That disciple's teeth were chattering. "If you don't know, why should I keep you alive?" Puff. That disciple's head was twisted off. He died an innocent death. Yi Chun, don't give yourself away. Seeing this horrible scene, Luo Hanshan's heart suddenly tightened. He sent a message to Yi Chun with his Zhun Qi. Yi Chun responded blandly, "Brother Luo, don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Beside him, Zhu Mei said in a low voice, "This guy's gone too far. How can he kill people for no reason? Does he think he can do whatever he wants just because he is powerful?" Luo Hanzhan gave a bitter smile. Zhu Mei was slightly more powerful than him, but she was a bit too soft. Yuan Heng Ying didn't go to the places where there were powerful Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists. Instead, He went to the places where there were no powerful hidden dragon-ranked martial artists. At this moment, he had killed another disciple and was walking towards the Sky Cloud Martial School. Have you seen my brother Yuan Hunko? With blood-red eyes, Yuan Hung glanced at the four of them and said in a cold voice, Yichen didn't move at all. Sorry, I have never seen him. Kid, how dare you? You can even stay so calm in front of me. It seems that you are the most suspicious one. Tell me the truth. Yuan Heng approached Yichen step by step. What a joke. If you haven't seen him, then you haven't. What are you going to do? A killing intent flashed across Yichen's eyes. He was ready for a bloody fight. Chapter 149. Junior Brother Yi, don't be impulsive. However, if this Yuan Heng is too aggressive, let's attack together. While talking to Yichen with his Zhen Qi, Luo Hanzhan had also informed Zhu Mei and Su Jing, telling them to prepare for a bloody fight. At the same time, he had made up his mind that he would make Yuan Heng bleed, even if he had to give up his own life. Zhu Mei and Su Jing silently nodded. Their Zhen Qi was ready to burst out. As soon as Yuan Heng made his move, they would launch a thunderous attack. The scene was deathly silent, and a tragic atmosphere spread out. Mo Wuxiwei and the other hidden dragon rank warriors watched this scene with interest. Compared to the other martial institutions, although the Sky Cloud Martial School was relatively weak, they were quite united. It seemed like they were ready to risk their lives to fight against Yuan Heng. Unfortunately, sometimes risking one's life did not mean it would be useful. In front of absolute power, everything else was useless. Lu Wuxiang and Ji Shuyan looked at Zhuang Fei with pity. Zhuang Fei said blandly, The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is a man-eating place. Just protect yourself. Don't worry about anything else. Eldest senior brother is right. Other people's business has nothing to do with us. They deserve to die. Challenging Yuan Heng, courting death. The other core disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace were gloating. In the direction of the Purple Sun Martial School, Ouyang Ming said excitedly, Cousin, it seems like we don't need to do anything to those people from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Yuan Heng will be able to kill them. Ouyang Lai said, They are destined to die. But that's good. We don't have to think about how to kill them, and we can focus on entering the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. Hee. When the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region closes and everyone gets out, those old guys from the Sky Cloud Martial School will definitely have a very interesting look on their faces. The others also began to discuss spiritedly. These four are dead for sure. Who doesn't know that the Eagle Killer has always been ruthless? Originally, only one needed to die. The other three were too impulsive. Let's hope that Killer Eagle doesn't come after us after killing them. Why don't we leave this place first and come back after the seven-colored pillar of light dissipates? Junior brother, do we not want to die even if you want to? It would be strange if the Killer Eagle didn't kill us after seeing us run. The discussions of the crowd didn't distract Yichen. His eyes were sharp, and the sharp aura on his body had been accumulated to the peak, fusing with his sword intent. You have guts. You really do have guts. But being gutsy is not a good thing. Today, you'll all die. Yuan Heng, will never leave anyone alive. Chirp. Yuan Heng's body shook. The dark cyan Zhen Qi around his body turned into a soaring eagle. The eagle let out a long cry. Its murderous aura spread out in all directions. The air rippled like water. It was extremely sticky. Look, Yuan Heng is going to make his move. That kid seems to be about to use a killer move as well. Everyone was surprised. In their line of sight, Yichen's right hand was placed on the hilt of his sword. The sword was not out of its sheath, but its sharpness was already apparent. The surrounding grass and trees were cut in half, as if they had been injured by the invisible sword chi. Grinning viciously, Yuan Heng was about to launch his attack. The Zhen Qi eagle around his body was ready to pounce, but right at that moment, the colorful light column changed. The tens of miles thick colorful light column quickly became thinner, and within 2 blinks of an eye, it had already shrunk to 100 meters thick, standing in the middle of the lake. The divine light of extinction has disappeared. Let's go. Some of the disciples couldn't wait any longer. they rushed out like an arrow, leapt high into the air, and dived into the lake like shuttles. The others saw that there was no danger this time, so they all jumped into the water without hesitation. Splash, 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 splash. The sound of jumping into the water could be heard continuously. Within a blink of an eye, only tens of disciples were left standing by the lake. Let's go down. On the other side, Zhuang Fei had also jumped into the water with his Emerald Martial Palace's disciples. Yuan Hingying's facial expression changed a few times. At the moment, he had two choices. One was to let go of Yi Chun and his friends and dive into the water right away, and the other was to kill them and then dive into the water. The latter might take some time, because the sharp aura released from Yi Chun's body was extremely sharp. It was not realistic to kill him and his friends within 1 or 2 moves. You're lucky. I hope that you won't run into me in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, Hichem. After thinking for a while, Yuan Hingying decided to choose the first option. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace was extremely mysterious. He was afraid that he might miss the right time and cause a lot of changes. Turning around, Yuan Hingying dived straight into the lake without dispelling his Zhenqi eagle. Standing on the lake, the few disciples slightly let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this colorful light column disappeared in time. Lu Hanshan's clothes were soaked in cold sweat. He raised his head and looked at the empty lake. Zhu Mei nodded and said, although Yuan Hingying's character is not good, but undoubtedly, he is extremely powerful, especially that fierce aura of killing tens of thousands of people. It makes people feel like they have arrived in hell, and there are mountains of corpses and oceans of blood everywhere. Let's go. Among the 4 of them, the calmest one was without a doubt Yi Chun. Just now, he had already prepared himself for a bloody battle. Of course, in terms of power, he was still much weaker than Yuan Hingying. He was only as powerful as Lin Yu, who was ranked 70th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. If he used the heart refining, he might be able to barely win against Lin Yu. However, Yuan Hingying was not Lin Yu. He was at least 30% more powerful than Lin Yu, and was ranked 59th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. With only his late condensing reality realm cultivation and sword intent, it would be very difficult for Yi Chun to defeat Yuan Hingying. Therefore, if this battle started, there would only be 2 outcomes. 1, Yi Chun would die, and Yuan Hingying would be severely wounded. The other, they would all die together, and there would be no winner. No matter which one it was, Yi Chun would not like either one. Splash, 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 splash. Water splashed everywhere. The 4 of them dove into the bottom of the lake, leaving only the empty lakeside. Such a huge pressure. Once they dove into the water, the 4 of them felt that their protective Zhenqi had tightened and was about to collapse. Yi Chun activated his soul power and spread it out. He found that the water in the lake was not transparent. It was mixed with a 7-colored color, as if it was made of a 7-colored crystal, and its density was higher than that of water. This is not ordinary water. Everyone, be careful. Yi Chun reminded them. As they dove deeper and deeper, the pressure of the lake water increased as well. When they reached 100 meters deep, the protective layer of Zhenqi, which was 3 feet away from their skin, had shrunk by a large margin and was now only 2 feet away from their skin. Apart from this, the great pressure had also brought a great resistance, and their diving speed had been slowed down to an extremely low level. Suddenly, blood surged up from the bottom of the lake. Is there a fight going on down there? The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is not far away from here. Why would they waste their time on a fight? Yi Chun frowned. He felt that something was wrong. Crack! Silently, Yi Chun's protective layer of Zhenqi was bitten through by something, and the water gushed in, sending him flying tens of meters away. Brother Yi. Lu Hanshan clearly saw that it was a weird-looking fish that had bitten through Yi Chun's protective layer of Zhenqi. The fish's body was as thin as a shuttle, about 5 feet long, and its mouth was filled with sawtooth-like teeth, shining with a cold light. The weird fish was way too fast. Yi Chun's protective layer of Zhenqi had already been bitten through by Lu Hanshan. It was impossible for Lu Hanshan to defend himself. Boom! Su Jing was the first one to launch the attack. A pair of fiery light rings condensed behind her head, which were still shining brightly even in the water, and boosted her power. She threw a punch on the weird fish's abdomen. Large amounts of blood gushed out of the weird fish's mouth. It swam for tens of meters and stopped moving. Tens of meters away, Yi Chun was trying his best to control his boiling blood. He was secretly shocked. This fish's teeth are way too sharp. His protective layer of Zhenqi didn't even work. It was broken by a single bite. Fortunately, he had cultivated his body to the golden jade body, so not even a piece of his flesh was torn off. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so easily injured. Swiftly swimming over, Yi Chun said, "I'm fine." Lu Hanshan's face darkened and said, "If I'm not wrong, these weird fishes are ancient piranhas. Their sharp teeth can bite through most metals. They are 10 times more powerful than the piranhas of today." Zhu Mei said, "Brother Yi, the martial art you have been practicing is way too low level. I'm afraid that you won't be able to defend yourself against the attacks of these ancient piranhas. Why don't you come with us?" "Indeed, we have all been practicing low-rank Earthrealm martial arts. It's more than enough to defend against 2 to 3 ancient piranhas." Lu Hanzan didn't realize until now that Yi Chun had been practicing a top-rank mortal realm martial art, the pure Junjin Qi. In terms of attacking power, it might not be any weaker than low-rank Earthrealm martial arts, but in terms of defensive power, it was much weaker. Yi Chun's Zhenqi was also not as rich as theirs. He was the weakest one among all of them. Yi Chun shook his head and said, "Just now I was distracted by the blood and water down there. I didn't notice the ancient piranha's sneak attack. I'll be more careful from now on." After having suffered a great loss this time, Yi Chun didn't dare to be careless anymore. He spread his soul power to cover a radius of tens of meters. Once there was any movement, he would be able to sense it. The 4 of them kept diving down. As the water pressure increased, more and more ancient piranhas appeared. At the beginning, there were only 1 or 2 of them, but now there were small groups of piranhas. Cut! As if he had eyes on his back, Yi Chun turned around and threw out a sword attack. Puff! The water was cut open, and the thick sword chi flashed across the air. The next moment, a small group of ancient piranhas were cut in half, and the blood spread everywhere, making it impossible to see anything. Further down there, a conspiracy was taking place. "You guys want to die? How dare you stop me?" Hong Qianjun, who was ranked 69th in the last hidden dragon rank, showed a strong killing intent in his eyes. His voice spread out along with his Zhenqi. Ouyang Ming swallowed his saliva and said, "Hong Qianjun, one of the inner elders of our Purple Sun Martial School, is a member of your Hong family's branch. This time, we want to talk business with you." Hong Qianjun's killing intent didn't decrease. He said coldly, "What business? Kill a man for us. Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are? You want me to kill someone for you? Believe it or not, I will kill you right now." Hong Qianjun's words were 30% true and 70% false. He just wanted to scare them and make them bleed more. As for killing someone, it was a simple thing, and he didn't mind spending a little bit of time on it. However, it depended on whether he was satisfied with the reward. The eldest disciple of the Purple Sun Martial School, Ouyang Lai, said blandly, "After this is done, I'll give you 50,000 low-rank spirit stones." "Huh, you think I'm a beggar? 100,000 for killing someone and 20,000 for wasting my time. Not a single one less, or I will kill you right now." "All right, as you wish." Ouyang Ming's heart was bleeding. 120,000 low-grade spirit stones were equivalent to 48 million taels of gold. If he had a choice, he would rather give 80 million taels of gold to the elder, because only a small number of low-grade spirit stones could be auctioned in the auction. This time, the intersect elder promised him 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, and the remaining 20,000 would have to be paid by him and his cousin. He kill who? Also, I'm warning you, don't go back on your word. We, the Multiple Mountain Martial School, will never suffer losses. Ouyang Ming said coldly. Yi Chun. Chapter 150. The bottom of the lake was immeasurably deep. The first batch of disciples had already dived hundreds of meters, and their protective Zhenqi had been compressed to a foot away from their skin. But that was not all. They were surrounded by horrifying ancient piranhas. These piranhas had formed groups and were specifically attacking the disciples who were alone. Those with strong protective Jinchi could hold on for a while, but those with weak Jinchi would be completely devoured after 2 or 3 attacks. Not even bones would be left. It was a bloody scene. Head disciple's sister, second disciple brother. Luckily we have your sky holy water spell to protect us. Not all of the disciples from the Rudra martial school were facing the attacks of the ancient piranhas. The 5 disciples from the Rudra martial school were wrapped in a cone-shaped water shield. The water shield was as thick as a fist, and the water surface was rotating at a speed invisible to the naked eye, like a drill. Those 5-feet-long piranhas were thrown away once they touched the water shield and couldn't even get close to them. Although the 10-feet-long giant piranhas were not thrown away, the water shield was unimaginably hard, and they couldn't bite through it. After a while, their gums started to bleed because of the rotating water. Nan Gongyun put both of her hands on the inner wall of the water shield and said, "I can't defend against the ancient piranhas alone. Only with Sister Qin and I, we have such an effect." Yuan Shiwame smiled and said, "Training the sky holy water spell. 1 drop of Jinchi is more than 100 pounds. This water shield is mixed with normal water, and it already has such a strong defense. If it was all made with Jinchi, it would be more than 10 times stronger. It's not that easy. The Jinchi from the sky holy water spell is very little, and we need to mix it with water Yuan Qi during normal battles, not to mention such a huge defensive shield." On the other side, a girl in cyan clothes also put both of her hands on the inner wall of the water shield. She shook her head and smiled bitterly. While they were talking, the water shield was like a spiral drill, and it dived another 2 to 300 meters. Great monument suppression. 10 miles fragrance. All demons fall. Under the water, there was a turbulent undercurrent. A 10 meters tall monument made of Zhen Qi fell down and landed in the middle of the ancient piranhas. The shockwave spread out and killed a large group of them. After that, faintly discernible sword light sprinkled out like 100 flowers blooming, and also like a fragrance wafting for 10 miles. It enveloped all the ancient piranhas in front of it and started to kill them endlessly. In the end, it formed a huge flower of blood mist. The sword light dimmed, and a resplendent golden light shone, spreading out in a fan shape. It contained countless fish shadows, and every punch had the power of 1,000 caddies. Wherever it went, the water would explode, and whirlpools would appear. The man-eating fish were dizzy and unable to move, and were beaten to death. "This won't do. There are too many piranhas. I can only kill about 10 of them with a full power attack. I can't kill them all," Luo Hanshan said to the other 3 through his Zhenqi. Su Jing rarely spoke. "Don't get entangled. Dive with all your might." Senior Sister Su is right. Continuing to fight is just a waste of time. Everyone, try our best to go down as fast as possible. I'll stay behind. Brandishing his sword and killing one piranha after another, Yi Chun felt that his innate qi was being consumed rapidly. He had already used up 1/3 of it. "How can we do that?" Zhu Mei disagreed. Luo Hanshan understood what Yi Chun meant. He turned to Zhu Mei and said, "Don't underestimate Brother Yi. He's the most powerful one among us. He can easily kill Ouyang Ming." "Really?" Zhu Mei didn't believe it. She hesitated for a second, then decided to follow the plan. Together with Luo Hanshan and Su Jing, Zhu Mei dived down with all their strength. However, she had made up her mind that once Yi Chun was in danger, she would come back immediately. Swallowing a pill that could help him recover his Zhen Qi, Yi Chun activated his sword intent and slashed out with his sword. Whirlwind and clouds. In the blink of an eye, the violent sword Qi shot out, rising straight up in a spiral shape. In the next moment, a huge waterspout was formed in the water. The waterspout was filled with incomparably sharp sword Qi, constantly killing the piranhas nearby or far away. Poochie, 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 poochie. After this sword move, Yi Chun's Zhen Qi dropped by a small half again. He couldn't help but smile bitterly and thought to himself, It seems that I have to find a low-rank Earth realm martial art to cultivate when I get back. Otherwise, with my current chi, I won't be able to use the shocking cloud sword art as much as I want. Down below, Zhu turned around and saw what had happened. She said in shock, "How come Brother Yi is so powerful? I felt that every single beam of sword chi in that water spout could injure me badly. You might not believe it, but Brother Yi has already mastered the sword intent, and he can easily kill other martial artists at the same level as him. I saw him kill 3 disciples who were no weaker than me with only one sword move, and they couldn't even fight back at all," Luo Hanshan said with a big smile. Zhu Mei's eyes popped out. He has mastered the sword intent? No wonder he is so powerful. Before Shui Warren, the leader of the Northern Snow Martial Academy, had mastered the blade intent, he was only as powerful as an inner elder, and his talent was just average as well. However, once he mastered the blade intent, his power skyrocketed, and he could even compete with Zhuang Qingxian, the leader of the Emerald Martial Palace. Until now, no one has ever seen him use all of his power. Soon, Yichen caught up with them. However, right at this moment, the water started vibrating intensely. A tens of meters long, gigantic Zhenqi palm, which was emitting a khaki yellow light, shrouded the 4 of them. Yichen's eyes shone with an intense killing intent. He launched a boundless cloud attack. Rumble. Once the gigantic sword chi touched the gigantic Zhenqi palm, it was as if tens of bombs had been detonated under the water. Luo Hanshan, Zhu Mei, and Zhu Mei were sent flying by the shockwave. Their chi and blood started boiling, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Hong Qianjun. Luo Hanshan's pupils contracted. He noticed a tall and sturdy silhouette in the water. That silhouette's muscles were as strong as those of a human ape, just like Lin Yu's. Haha, so you're the disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Hong Qianjun had launched this palm attack from far away. He didn't see who had blocked it, so he thought that it was the combined power of the 4 of them. Thinking like this, he didn't care about it at all. There were many obstacles in the water, therefore when he launched that palm attack, he only had 70 to 80% of his power left. Zhu Mei frowned and asked, "Why did you attack us?" Hong Qianjun curled his lips and said, "You're not very popular. Someone even offered a large amount of low-grade spirit stones to buy your lives." "Buy our lives? Yuan Hingying? Impossible. He's a hidden dragon ranked martial artist. How could he let others take advantage of him? But besides him, who else would want to offend our Sky Cloud Martial School? Could it be the Purple Sun Martial School?" "Yeah, the Purple Sun Martial School and our Sky Cloud Martial School are mortal enemies. Now that they've seen the rise of our junior brother Yi, they won't give up. Hong Qianjun, let's get straight to the point. It's the Purple Sun Martial School's people who want our lives." Hong Qianjun shook his head and said, "I don't care about that. What I want to do is to kill you. But now I can give you a chance. Among the 4 of you, only one can survive. In other words, the other 3 can either kill themselves or be killed by me, and the last one should run." Yichen said blandly, "You think you've got us? Who the hell do you think you are? Among the 4 of us, you'll definitely die." Hong Qianjuan's body was surrounded by a layer of yellow light, which made it impossible for the piranhas to bite through it. Yichen said slowly, "Today you'll also die." The blue veins on Hong Qianjuan's forehead suddenly bulged. He said in a hideous voice, "You're just like a dog. How dare you yell in front of me? Just wait until I break all of your bones and make you beg for death. I'll see if you can still talk back then." Hundreds of meters away, Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming were standing side by side, talking while killing the piranhas nearby. "Cousin, do you think this Hong Qianjun can kill them? Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" Lightning flashed, and 4 piranhas were burnt black by the lightning. Rushing thunder hand, Ouyang Lai snorted and said, "Hong Qianjun is ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranking. He was only at the peak of the late condensing reality realm, but he was already able to easily kill disciples at the same level as him. Now that he has stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, how could he not be able to kill these 4? "You're right." Ouyang Ming nodded. Earlier, on the lakeside, when Yuan Hingying was about to kill Yi Chun and the other 3, The 7-colored light column suddenly disappeared, which ruined their plan. The more they thought about it, the more worried they became. After entering the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, there was a 10% chance for them to step into the Clasping Yuan realm. If they didn't step into the Clasping Yuan realm, it would be fine, but once they stepped into the Clasping Yuan realm, it would be very difficult for them to kill them. After all, they wouldn't have a chance forever. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. Both of them spent a large amount of low-grade spirit stones to invite Hong Qianjun to help them kill Yi Chun and the other 3, and kill them under the water. When they're dying, we can go up and finish them off. Ouyang Lai's nickname was Rushing Thunderhand, but his temperament was even gloomier than Ouyang Ming's. He was extremely cruel. That would be great. Once Hong Qianjun said those words, he sensed the sword qi coming right at his face, and the yellow-colored light column seemed to collapse. At the same time, Yi Chen's voice came, "You could have gone to the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace safely, and nothing would have happened. You might have even improved your cultivation, but you're digging your own grave. Don't blame me. I like to see who will end up like a dead dog." When he was confronting Yuan Hingying, Yi Chen didn't have the chance to launch the first attack because he didn't have the confidence to kill Yuan Hingying. Unfortunately, Hong Qianjun wasn't Yuan Hingying. He was only as powerful as Lin Yu. Although it would be a bit difficult to kill him, it wasn't impossible. Once he launched the attack, Yi Chen activated his sword intent with all of his power and launched the shocking cloud sword art. The thick sword qi contained an inexhaustible explosive power. Wherever it reached, the water would be cut open and the water behind it would explode, pushing the sword qi forward at an even faster speed. Sword intent. Hong Qianjun's face turned pale with fright. The sword intent had always been difficult to learn, and Yi Chen was only a late condensing reality realm martial artist. How could he have learned the sword intent? Hong Qianjun was slightly stunned. Then his face turned fierce. He knew that he couldn't let this man live, otherwise he would become a great threat in the future, and he had to kill him as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Hong Qianjun let out a great shout, and the yellow-colored light column around his body suddenly expanded, locking the space around him. Mountain-shattering stamp. Hong Qianjun locked his fingers together and launched a palm attack. Buzz! The speed of the sword qi was very fast. However, as soon as it entered the earthen yellow halo, its speed plummeted as if there was an endless obstacle. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, a round of earthen yellow palm prints broke through the water flow and heavily struck the sword qi. Crack! The sword qi was shattered, and the remaining sword qi was twisted by the yellow-colored light column, then disappeared. However, Hong Qianjun had underestimated the power of the sword qi, and one of his sleeves was cut off. Chapter 151. Damn it, I want you to die. Facing a late condensing reality realm warrior, Hong Qianjun was enraged. His face turned extremely pale. He threw out another mountain-shattering stamp. Mountain-shattering stamp was a low-rank earth realm martial skill that only belonged to the multiple mountain martial school. Once the mountain-shattering stamp was launched, all of the martial artist's power would be concentrated on a single point, and it was even more powerful than ordinary low-rank earth realm martial skills. When Hong Qianjun was at the peak level late condensing reality realm, he had shattered the protective Jinqi of an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist with this skill. At this moment, he launched the mountain-shattering stamp with all of his power. The surrounding water currents were violently stirred up, and an astonishing undercurrent kept attacking Yi Chen's body, as if it wanted to send him flying and push him back. Moreover, under the pressure of the undercurrent, the protective aura around him that was 3 feet away from his body was making creaking sounds, as if it couldn't bear the heavy pressure. Yi Chen's eyes were sharp, and his body, which was as immovable as a mountain, shook slightly. The pervasive sword intent spread out along with his strength, cutting off the source of the undercurrent. Suddenly, the undercurrent that had lost its source was like a poisonous snake that had been hit in its weak spot. It seemed to be strong in appearance, but weak in reality. Mountain condensing sword qi. This series of changes happened in a split second. Yi Chen took a step forward, and the water under his feet became as solid as iron. Yichen didn't see how he moved, but the hidden cloud sword in his hand had already been swung out, and his whole body was frozen in the same position. The thick sword chi was like a mountain, cutting through the water and part of the earthy yellow halo, colliding with the earthy yellow palm print. Chi 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 chi. This time, the sword chi did not shatter. Instead, it vibrated and rubbed against each other at a high speed. Wave after wave of boundless power slashed onto the palm print. What sword technique is this? Hong Qianjuan's heart sank, and his desire to kill Yi Chun grew even stronger. He couldn't allow himself to be defeated by a late, condensing reality realm warrior, even if the latter had comprehended the sword intent. After all, he was a hidden dragon rank martial artist. If this news spread out, it would be a great blow to his reputation. Pucci. In the end, the palm print only had one layer of power. Under the slash of the sword chi, it quickly disintegrated and was cut in half. The next moment, the sword chi, which did not seem to be weakening, shot toward the deeper layer of the earthy, yellow halo. It moved like lightning, ignoring the obstruction of the water flow. Enfeoffed as a marquee, Hong Qianjun pushed his Zhun Qi to its limit. The yellow halo around his body became even more dazzling. It was almost tangible. After that, the yellow halo quickly combined together and transformed into a small, illusory city, which protected Hong Qianjuan's body and stabilized the surrounding water flow, blocking the sharp sword chi. What kind of defensive technique is this? It's even more terrifying than my combination skill, Purple Chi from the East, Great Monument Suppression. Lu Hanshan was a master of the art of defense. Even Ouyang Ming, who had mastered the dragon beheading kick, had not been able to break his defense with only one move, and he would be able to hold his own against two martial artists who were at the same level as him. However, when he saw Hong Qianjuan's small, illusory city, he realized that his defense was far weaker than Hong Qianjuan's, even if he had stepped into the clasping Yuan realm. Suddenly, he started worrying about Yi Chun. Ouyang Ming and Ouyang Lai were dumbfounded at the same time. How is this possible? You barely defeated Sherpa Tian. How come you have the strength to fight against Hong Qianjun now? Impossible. Ouyang Ming couldn't believe his own eyes and said bitterly. Ouyang Lai said in a deep voice, "Fortunately, we didn't find a chance to attack him ourselves. Otherwise, we would have been killed by him. But since the gods have allowed us to escape, it means that we still have a chance to kill him. Now let's just wait and see. He won't be able to hold on for long. The multiple mountain martial school's land splitting art is a mid-rank earth realm martial art. Even if Hong Qianjun hasn't mastered it completely, he will still be invincible. Indeed, Yi Chun is dead for sure. He won't be able to break Hong Qianjuan's defense." Clang, 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 clang. The sword chi struck on the small, illusory city, causing dazzling fire sparkles to burst out. The fire sparkles didn't die out even after being touched by water. Instead, the scorching heat from the fire sparkles burned large groups of piranhas to death. However, no matter how fast the sword chi struck, the small, illusory city, which was formed by Jin Qi, remained as stable as a mountain. Even a small crack couldn't shake the city, not to mention killing Hong Qianjun. "Ha, my earth-splitting art is a mid-rank earth realm martial art. How could you possibly break it? Dream on." Hong Qianjun laughed arrogantly. The Multiple Mountain Martial School was a rank 7 institution in the White Mystery Nation, and they didn't have too many low-rank earth realm martial arts. Half a year ago, when he stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, the headmaster of the Multiple Mountain Martial School directly gave him the earth-splitting art. The earth-splitting art was divided into 11 levels, and after spending half a year studying it and being taught by an inner elder, Hong Qianjun had already reached the 8th level of the earth-splitting art, which was even more powerful than the highest level of low-rank earth realm martial arts. This was definitely his strongest defense. Yichen remained expressionless, while he let out a resonant growl. Explode. Boom. The thick sword chi exploded right next to the small, illusory city. Tiny pieces of sword chi darted across the air and clanged against the city wall, forcing Hong Qianjun to take a step back. Hong Qianjun didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed out loud, locked his fingers together, and launched two mountain-shattering stamp. The power of the mountain-shattering stamp seemed to contain the power of a small mountain. Wherever it reached, the water would explode and surge towards Yichun like a raging tide. Swirling clouds. Facing the incoming palm attacks, Yichun took a deep breath and let out a growl, then launched the shocking cloud sword art, which had the widest range of attack. All of a sudden, countless streams of sword chi swirled up, stirred up the water, and darted out like a gigantic serpent. Puff, 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 boom. The sounds of the mountain-shattering stamp and the sounds of the sword chi surged up one after another, shaking people's hearts. Any piranha that approached were either crushed or punctured. Lu Hanzhan and the other two had already retreated to a distance of 800 meters and could only faintly see two human silhouettes fighting. Brother Yi is indeed powerful. He's fighting evenly with Hong Qianjun, who is ranked in the Hidden Dragon ranking, but he's still at the late condensing reality realm, not even at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Lu Hanzhan was shocked, but he also seemed a bit numb, but he was still extremely happy. Zhu Mei frowned and said, Lu Hanzhan, Brother Yi is in danger. Why? Lu Hanzhan was surprised. Before Zhu Mei could answer, Su Jing said blandly, Brother Yi has been practicing a top-rank mortal realm art. His Zhen Qi is not enough, plus the limitation of his cultivation. He is at least 3 times weaker than Hong Qianjun. Hong Qianjun is trying to consume Brother Ye's Zhen Qi, and when he is weakened, he will kill him with one strike. Now that you mention it, it's true, I was too careless. Lu Hanzhan was too excited just now, so he didn't notice some subtle things. Now that he was reminded by Zhu Mei, he immediately became vigilant. But Brother Yi should still have some tricks up his sleeves. He doesn't look like someone who lacks consideration. After saying that, Su Jing added, 800 meters away from the east side of the battlefield. Ouyang Lai sneered. In a few more minutes, Yichun will die for sure. Ouyang Ming knew what Ouyang Lai meant. He grinned viciously and said, the older, the wiser. Hong Qianjun has been through hundreds of battles. He has encountered all kinds of opponents. How could Yichun, who has just risen to power, compare with him? When his Zhen Qi is weakened, he will definitely be crushed to death. In fact, Hong Qianjun is seriously injured. While Yichun is dying, this is the best result. By that time, Lu Hanzhan and the other two will definitely rush up and attack Hong Qianjun together. Even if Hong Qianjun is seriously injured, he will still be able to kill them, which will aggravate his injuries. Ouyang Ming's eyes brightened. You mean we can take advantage of the situation and conveniently kill Hong Qianjun as well? Ouyang Lai's face darkened. Hong Qianjun smirked and said, there is always a huge gap between the condensing reality realm and the clasping yuan realm. No matter how powerful you are, you can't escape from this fact. How much Zhen Qi do you have left? I guess not more than 20%. It's enough to kill you. Yichun's facial expression didn't change at all, but his eyes were getting sharper and sharper, as if he could see through everything and see through everything. Seeing Yichun's cold expression, Hong Qianjun was extremely annoyed. He swore to himself that he would crush Yichun's confidence, step on his face, and give him a good beating. He would like to see if Yichun could still be so arrogant and not beg for mercy. Die. Mountain-shattering stamp. Hong Qianjun quickly locked his hands together and launched a wave of yellow-colored palm prints. These palm prints were extremely solid. They looked like small mountains that were sealed within them. What surprised everyone was that Yichun didn't take the attack head-on. Instead, he twisted his body and swam downwards like a fish. His movement was incredibly fast. It was hard to imagine that someone could move so fast in the water. The pure Junjin Qi condensed into a Qi sword and wrapped Yichun up. Driven by the sword intent, the sword moved at an amazing speed. All the water currents seemed to have lost their obstacles and were easily cut open. At this moment, Yichun's speed was even faster than the ancient piranha fish. Where do you think you're going? Hong Qianjun was stunned for a second when he saw that his attack had failed. He immediately chased after Yi Chun. The pressure in the water was too great, and Hong Qianjun wasn't good at moving, so he was left further and further behind. While being shocked by Yi Chen's speed, Hong Qianjun pushed his Zhen Qi to its limit. His Zhen Qi was boiling behind him like water, creating a strong, pushing force. Finally, Hong Qianjun locked onto Yi Chun from afar and launched another attack. Waves of palm prints collided with Yi Chen's body, causing the water currents to become chaotic. The chase lasted for a short while. Yi Chen suddenly stopped, turned around, and launched a sword attack towards Hong Qianjun. Mountain-shattering sword chi. Hong Qianjun laughed out. He thought that Yi Chun had lost his mind, so he hurriedly launched the earth-splitting and border-conquering art to defend himself. However, when he launched the art, his Zhen Qi slightly stagnated, but he didn't notice it. The only thought in his mind was to kill Yi Chun and trample him under his feet. Scorching hot sparks splashed out in all directions, boiling the surrounding water currents. In the center of the sparks, the sword Qi continuously hacked on the illusory city outside Hong Qianjun's body. The frequency of the sword Qi was so high that even the surrounding water currents started vibrating, synchronizing with the frequency of the sword Qi. Crack! Suddenly, a cracking sound of something hard breaking came out. The sword Qi's power became stronger than before. Compared to before, it didn't weaken at all. On the contrary, it had become unprecedentedly stronger. As for the Zhen Qi's exhaustion, it was as if everything that had happened before was just an illusion. A large crack appeared on the illusory city, and it seemed like it was about to be broken. Hong Qianjun was frightened. Impossible! How can you still have so much Zhen Qi? Chapter 152. You don't need to worry about my Zhen Qi. As for your Zhen Qi, I guess you only have 30 to 40% left. Although your defensive skill is quite powerful, it obviously consumes a lot of Zhen Qi. Just now, you force yourself to use your Zhen Qi to chase after me. Plus, you continuously cast the mountain-shattering stamp. Your Zhen Qi has been consumed even more. Yi Chen's voice wasn't loud, but it was as sharp as a sword, easily piercing through Hong Qianjun's heart. Hong Qianjun became angry out of shame. What about you? You should have run out of Zhen Qi long ago. The sword continued cutting the small city, creating bigger and bigger cracks. Yi Chan said blandly, "Unfortunately, I have a pill that can instantly replenish my Zhen Qi. I've already swallowed it when I was chasing after you." Half of what he said was true. The pill that could instantly replenish one's Zhen Qi was real, but only one pill was fake. In fact, he had a whole gourd full of pills. He didn't know the name of this pill, but he knew that it was very useful. Apart from improving one's Zhen Qi, it could also instantly replenish one's Zhen Qi, which was many times better than the other pills that could replenish one's Zhen Qi. The illusory city formed by his Zhen Qi was on the verge of collapsing. Hong Qianjun said word by word, "Very good. You're the first one under the clasping yuan realm who could force me to this extent. But do you really think that you could defeat me? Divide the land, seal the border, condense." Hong Qianjun instantly released the remaining Zhen Qi from his body. The illusory city suddenly shrunk a little bit, and the cracks on it gradually closed up. It became more and more solid and thick. The defensive power of the city was so strong that even Yi Chen's sword Qi couldn't break it. Haha, after reaching the clasping yuan realm, my Zhen Qi recovery speed has been greatly increased. Now, I don't need to attack, I just need to defend. I can recover my Zhen Qi bit by bit. By then, you will have consumed half of your Zhen Qi, and that will be the time of your death. While saying these words, Hong Qianjun was so angry that he almost lost his mind. He had never thought that a late condensing reality realm warrior would be able to push him to this extent. If he didn't kill Yi Chen, he would never be able to eat or sleep in peace. Yi Chen's expression was cold. "I want to see how long you can defend." Sword Qi Mountain. Although this sword technique could last for a long time, it would eventually run out of energy. If he continued to use his Zhen Qi, the effect would be greatly reduced. Yi Chen decided to cut off his Zhen Qi and slashed out again. The violent sword chi fiercely cut through the illusory city, creating thousands of sparks. Of the two of them, one focused on defense, while the other focused on offense. The audience was dumbfounded. Before the previous one subsides, another one rises. I can't even see this battle clearly anymore. Lu Hanzhan let out a long breath and said with a bitter smile. Zhu Mei said, being able to force Hong Qianjun to use all of his strength to defend himself. Junior brother, Ye's fighting strength is really amazing. But Hong Qianjun shouldn't be underestimated either. That defensive skill is unbelievably powerful. It's definitely a mid-rank Earthrealm skill. Indeed, if Hong Qianjun didn't have this defensive skill, he would have been defeated by Brother Yi long ago. Su Jing didn't say anything. She was waiting for Yi Chun to launch a thunderous attack, the kind that would make his opponent have no chance to fight back. In the distance, Ouyang Ming gasped in shock. Yi Chun's power made his hair stand on end. Even Hong Qianjun, who was ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranking and had already stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, was forced to use all of his strength to defend, not daring to fight back. Ouyang Lai, the Thunderhand, said with a murderous look on his face, if Yi Chun doesn't die, our Purple Sun Martial School will never have a peaceful day. Wait until both of them are badly injured. Then you and I will use all of our strength to kill Yi Chun. Kill him with one strike, then we will leave immediately, in case we get surrounded by Lu Hanzhan and the others. Exactly, this guy is too terrifying. If we don't kill him, we will lose our position in the Windy Nation. We have to kill him. Ouyang Ming said viciously. Hong Qianjun had consumed a lot of his Zhen Qi. Once again, a small crack appeared on the solid city wall. The crack seemed to be very small, but couldn't be ignored because every time the sword Qi struck on the crack would expand at a visible speed. In a short while, the city would definitely fall. Humph, I'll let you be proud for now. When my Zhen Qi recovers to 50%, I'll be able to turn the situation around. Hong Qianjun didn't worry about the small crack at all. He did it on purpose. He wanted to confuse Yi Chun and make him think that he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. All of a sudden, Hong Qianjun's facial expression changed. In his sight, Yi Chun suddenly took back his sword, took a step forward with his left foot, and raised a long sword with his right hand. Yi Chun seemed to have entered a mysterious realm. In the next moment, a stream of extremely sharp qi gathered on the tip of the sword. What does he want to do? Does he still have a special skill? Impossible. A dangerous thought flashed across Hong Qianjun's mind. He was about to activate the conferred territory art to solidify his defense, but it was already too late. Single sword move. Yi Chun held the hidden cloud sword in his hand and swung it out in an extremely simple and gentle way. This move seemed to be slow, but was actually incredibly fast because both Yi Chun's arm and the hidden cloud sword seemed to have disappeared. Yi Chun could only see a beam of white light flashing across the air at a speed that was so fast that it couldn't be seen by the naked eye, as if the water didn't exist. In a twinkling of an eye, the beam of white light struck on the crack on the city wall. Crack! The city wall, which was incomparably sturdy, suddenly cracked open from middle. Puff! A large amount of blood spurted out from Hong Qianjun's mouth. The protective layer of Zhen Qi around Hong Qianjun's body had already been shattered, and a bone-deep slash appeared on his chest. Inside his body, the sword Qi had been violently cutting his meridians and muscles, and even his Zhen Qi, which had been circulating in a regular pattern, had been cut into pieces. Without the support of his Zhen Qi, the city wall suddenly collapsed, turning into yellow light spots and dissipating in the air. I'm the eldest disciple of the multiple mountain martial school. If you kill me, even if you run to the end of the world, you'll still be dead. Do you want to die? Hong Qianjun glared at Yi Chun with his mouth covered with blood. He didn't believe that Yi Chun would dare to kill him. The multiple mountain martial school was a rank 7 institution in the White Mystery Nation, a mid-level nation. It was an extremely powerful martial artist, and even the leader of the school was an early astral-reaching realm martial artist. If Yi Chun dared to kill him, even if he fled to the Sky Cloud Martial School, it would still be useless. The multiple mountain martial school would definitely pressure the leaders of the sky cloud martial school to hand over Yi Chun. Yi Chun responded blandly, "If you knew that this day would come, why did you do it?" Seeing that Yi Chun didn't attack him, Hong Qianjun was secretly happy. This guy is indeed a coward. But since you have offended me, Hong Qianjun, you should be prepared to be killed in the future. I'll make you beg for death in order to avenge the humiliation you've suffered today. Hong Qianjun said, "A martial artist only has one life. If you let me go now, I'll let bygones be bygones. But if you don't, you know the consequences. Sometimes you can't take the wrong path. Once you make a wrong step, you'll ruin your future." Puff! Before Hong Qianjun could finish his last word, a stream of sword qi chopped his head off. Blood mixed with water spurted out tens of meters high. "Since you've already offended me, there's no other way out. Therefore, you have to die," Yi Chun said with an indifferent face. "Brother Yi, did you kill Hong Qianjun?" Seeing that Yi Chun had broken Hong Qianjun's defense, Lu Han's Han and the other two hurriedly rushed over. On the way, Hong Qianjun and Yi Chun didn't know what Hong Qianjun had said to Yi Chun, but both of them seemed to be in a stalemate. When they arrived, they saw Yi Chun chopping Hong Qianjun's head off with a single sword strike. Yi Chun said, "If I don't kill him today, he will definitely kill me in the future." "You're right." Lu Han's Han helplessly nodded. The true spirit continent was a cruel world. People who were too weak would never be able to stand out. Therefore, they had to be cruel and merciless. If they didn't do anything, they would be fine. Zhu Mei sighed. A hidden dragon ranked martial artist had died just like that. In the end, he was blinded by his own greed. Yi Chun is dead. He's dead. He killed Hong Qianjun. The multiple mountain martial school will never let him go. Let's go. We have to leave now. In a couple of days, when we get out of the heavenly dream ancient region, we'll tell the elders of the multiple mountain martial school about Hong Qianjun's death. They will kill Yi Chun. Ouyang Lai's eyebrows twitched. Yi Chun's cruelty and mercilessness made him tremble in fear. Ouyang Ming's face turned pale as he said, "Hong Qianjun's death is a big deal. He was seeking his own death. You can live if you want to, but you can't live if you want to. Let's go. Let's go in case he finds us." Both of them activated their Zhen Qi and prepared to leave. "Do you think you can leave?" A voice was heard from behind them. The two turned around to look, and they were shocked to see Yi Chun, who was wrapped in Qi swords, shooting towards them at an alarming speed. "Yi Chun, what do you want? We're disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School. If you kill me, you won't be able to." Ouyang Ming's head was sent flying into the air. His eyes were wide open, as if he couldn't believe that he was dead. He didn't want to die. He still had a long way to go. Ouyang Lai pointed his finger at Yi Chun and said, "You killed Ouyang Ming. You killed him. From now on, my Purple Sun Martial School will never forgive you. My Ouyang family will chop you into pieces. Just wait for your death. Just wait for the day when your Yi family will be destroyed." So much bullshit. Yi Chun wielded his arm and released a stream of sword qi, cutting Ouyang Lai into two. Those two bastards. Luckily, we didn't let them get away. Otherwise, we'd all be dead. He would definitely tell others about what happened to Hong Qianjun. Lu Han's Han was still scared. He couldn't even imagine what would happen if the multiple mountain martial school's people knew that Hong Qianjun was killed by Yi Chun. Zhu Mei hated Ouyang Lai to the bone since long ago. She didn't even know how many Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples have been killed by him. Good. All of this is because of them. Otherwise, Hong Qianjun wouldn't have come to us for no reason. Now that Hong Qianjun is dead, they still want to put the blame on us. Maybe this is a plan made by the Purple Sun Martial School's leaders long ago. They want all four of us to die in the Heavenly Dream ancient region. Oh right, Brother Yi. How did you find them? They were nearly 1,000 meters away from us. Clang. Putting the hidden cloud sword back into its sheath, Yi Chun said, "I found them long ago, but I didn't do anything. Therefore, I don't think they can open their mouths to talk." Yi Chun's soul power was extremely powerful. He could spread his soul power out for over 1,000 meters. Before the fight against Hong Qianjun started, he had already searched around with his soul power. As expected, the two top-ranked disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School were right in front of him. They probably wanted to watch him die, but unfortunately, in the end, they were the ones who died. Since then, including those disciples who had been killed by the others or the ancient beasts of the Heavenly Dream ancient region, all the Purple Sun Martial School's disciples had been killed. Su Jing said, "From now on, the Purple Sun Martial School's younger generation will no longer be able to compete with us anymore. No matter what, let's go to the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. It's been a long time. Let's go down." The four of them activated their Zhenqi and moved downwards. Chapter 153. After diving for about 3,000 meters, his protective Zhenqi layer had been compressed to only half an inch away from his skin, which was an extremely dangerous distance. Once his protective Zhenqi layer was shattered, it would be extremely hard for him to get it back up again. After that, he would have to rely on his ability to hold his breath. Fortunately, 3,000 meters was already close to the bottom of the lake. Rumble. Intense vibrations spread out in all directions. Faintly, colorful lights came from the front. Some of these lights were extremely sharp, some were as heavy as a mountain, and some even froze the water into ice. There's a fight going on 1,200 meters ahead. Let's go check it out. Yichen took back his soul power and said to the other three. At the bottom of the lake was a magnificent palace. No one knew what kind of material the palace was made from. It looked like gold or jade, but it didn't look like gold or jade. The whole palace was shining with a colorful light, giving people a mysterious feeling. Surrounding the palace was a broad square made of white marble. On the square, nearly 400 disciples had been attacking a tens of meters long, scaleless, golden gray, gigantic serpent. This gigantic serpent was extremely powerful. Even though it was being attacked by nearly 400 people at the same time, it was still extremely fierce and unstoppable. Normal attacks couldn't even break its defense. Only clasping Yuan Realm Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists could cause some damage to it. The ancient black gold serpent is powerful. Individual attacks won't be effective. Everybody line up and attack it together. The one who said this was Lu Zhao, the top-ranked disciple of the White Mysterious Nation's Rank 7 institution, the White Deer Cave. He was also a young martial artist ranked 61st in the last Hidden Dragon ranked. Lu Zhao is right. Everybody line up. The other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists knew that if they continued like this, they wouldn't know how long it would take. Therefore, they all used their own power to unite the other disciples. Damn it. They always get all the benefits. They only use us when we are in trouble. And what can we do? We have to lower our heads when we are in trouble. Anyway, we have to kill this black gold serpent sooner or later. Otherwise, we won't be able to enter the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. Just bear with it. Once you step into the clasping Yuan realm, you can be just as arrogant. Many disciples were not happy about this. Many of their brothers and sisters had been killed by those Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists. At this moment, when they heard that Lu Zhao wanted to control them, they subconsciously refused to accept it. On the other side, a martial disciple suddenly died. The one who killed him wasn't the dark gold python, but the terrifying Yuan Hengying. I gave you face, but you don't want it. What's the point of keeping you alive? Smiling cruelly, Yuan Hengying raised his head and said to the others, "Whoever dares to disobey the command, kill without mercy." Too tyrannical, killing people at every turn. 700 or 800 meters away, Zhu Mei looked angry. Luo Hanzhan let out a long breath and said calmly, "I think we'd better not go there right now. That Yuan Hengying is very aggressive. We might be used as cannon fodder by him once we go there and fight against that ancient dark gold serpent. Although this dark gold serpent is only a level 5 demonic beast, ancient demonic beasts have always been very powerful and have great defensive power. Even mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists would have to step back when facing it." Brother Yi, Luo Hanzhan thought that he would be able to convince the others, but unexpectedly, Yi Chun was the first one to walk out. After taking a few steps, Yi Chun turned around and said, "There's no need to hide from him. We can form a battle formation by ourselves. I believe that many of those martial disciples who have grudges against him will join us. Indeed, Brother Yi is not much weaker than Yuan Hengying. Why do you still hide?" Su Jing also walked out. Luo Han's Han gave a bitter smile. The protective layer of qi kept the water out. Only the breathable air could get in. Yichen took a deep breath. He decided to go over, not because he was confident that he could fight against Yuan Hengying, but because he didn't want to lose the heart of a sword artist. To be a sword artist, one had to be fearless. In a situation where the power gap was not huge, hiding was not the way to solve the problem. On the contrary, it would make one lose the spirit. The four of them moved extremely fast. Within a few blinks of an eye, they had already arrived in the middle of the martial disciples. "It's you?" Yuan Hengying narrowed his eyes, seeming to be a bit surprised. He licked his lips and said coldly, "You guys come over here, stand in the front row." Seeing this, the other martial disciples were all shocked. Obviously, Yuan Hengying was going to use the Four Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples as cannon fodder. Compared to him, they themselves were not any better. After all, the Dark Old Serpent was not something that could be stopped by just a few cannon fodders. When the time came, the second batch of cannon fodders would definitely come. However, even though they knew that they might become cannon fodders, they still had to endure it. They didn't dare to disobey Yuan Hengying, who had killed countless people. At least, they still had a chance to survive against the Dark Old Serpent. Yichen didn't even take a glance at Yuan Hengying. His voice spread out along with his Zhen Qi. "Who wants to join our battle formation and fight against the Dark Old Serpent together?" Once he said this, everyone was shocked. Even those who were fighting against the Dark Old Serpent couldn't help but glance over. Yuan Hengying laughed out of anger. "You have challenged my patience over and over again. Very good. Today, even if you don't want to come, you will have to come. Otherwise, I will kill you. Even if you want to kill me, you'll have to pay with your life. I'm just afraid that you can't afford it." Yichen's voice was as sharp as metal, piercing through the water. The sharp qi released from his body was even sharper than when he was on the lakeside and contained an unshakable will. The previous fierce fight with Hong Qianjun had made Yichen's understanding of the sword intent reach a new level. If it weren't for the fact that he was limited by his cultivation, killing Yuan Hengying would be as easy as killing a dog. Even so, Yichen was 30% sure that he could kill Yuan Hengying, so there was no need for him to retreat. "Good. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish." Eagles swooping in the sky. Yuan Hengying was extremely angry. His body shook and rose straight up into the sky. After that, the Zhen Qi eagle flew out of his body and swooped down towards Yichen. Chop! Once the sword qi was released, the water started to flow in a reverse direction. The strong sword qi made people slightly dazed. Puff! The Zhen Qi eagle's chest was cut open by the sword. It let out a long cry, flapped its wings against the sword qi, and let out a loud metal clashing sound. In the next moment, the water was sucked into this space and formed into a 10-meter wide water ball. Then it expanded and exploded. Boom! A thunderous sound was heard. What? He blocked Yuan Hengying's attack? Who the hell is this Sky Cloud Martial School's disciple? Even if Yuan Hengying had only used 80% of his power, a late condensing reality realm warrior still couldn't compete with him. It's really incredible. Don't you think that it looks like the sword intent? Yeah. Why didn't I think of it? That is definitely the sword intent. No wonder he is not afraid of Yuan Hengying. Everyone was shocked. Yuan Hengying's eyes had turned red like a devil, which meant that he had already decided to kill Yichen. As for the fact that Yichen had mastered the sword intent, it didn't affect him at all. A dead sword artist, why would he need the sword intent? If he didn't kill Yichen today, he would bring himself a powerful enemy. Today you will die. I wanted to kill you on the lakeside. No one has ever escaped from me. Yuan Hengying. Yuan Hengying pushed his Zhen Qi to its limit. An even bigger Zhen Qi eagle was formed. It flapped its wings, causing the water to flow in reverse. Enough! All of a sudden, a cold voice came. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and their faces changed. It was Xue Hen, the head disciple of the Invisible Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Sky Serpent Nation. He was ranked 57th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, which was 2 ranks higher than Yuan Hengying. He said blandly, "Killing that black old serpent is the most important thing right now. Once we kill him, you could do whatever you want. Yuan Hung Ing turned his head, his face darkened. Shui Hin, you and I are minding our own business. Why do you have to interfere with my business? I'm just reminding you, don't forget why you came to the Heavenly Dream ancient region. Fighting over personal feelings will only bring you trouble. Yuan Hing Ing, Shui Hin is right. Killing that black gold serpent is the most important thing right now. Opening the gate of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is the most important thing. Let's put everything else aside for now. Lu Zhao, the head disciple of the White Deer Cave, also said. Yuan Hung Ing slightly restrained his Zhen Qi. He decided to wait for a while longer. Once he reached the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace and made some progress in his cultivation, he would immediately chase after Yichun. As for now, he wasn't so sure about killing Yichun. He had already seen how powerful Yichun's sword intent was during the Hidden Dragon rank. It was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Luo Hanshan was secretly happy. Yuan Hung Ing didn't seem to be much more powerful than Yichun. Otherwise, he wouldn't have listened to Luo Hanshan's advice at all. It seemed that Yichun's decision was right. When one's power was almost the same as Yichun's, one should never step back. Otherwise, it would be harmful to one's future growth. Yichun didn't know what Luo Hanshan was thinking. He said loudly, "Those who are willing to join our battle formation, come here right now. I can guarantee that you won't be harmed." I'm in too. In our 7 mystery martial school. Immediately, a large group of disciples came to Yichun's area. Most of them were from Yuan Hing Ying's battle formation. Seeing this, Yuan Hung Ing was enraged. His eyes shone with a bright red light. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The dark gold serpent was indeed a 5th-grade ancient beast. Even under the joint attack of all kinds of battle formations, it was still incomparably powerful. From time to time, 2 or 3 disciples would be whipped into 2 by its tail, blood splashing everywhere. However, by now, it had already become a cornered beast. Every single hidden dragon ranked martial artist was powerful enough to challenge those who were at a higher cultivation level than him. Although the dark gold serpent was powerful, how could it possibly withstand the joint attack of so many people? As time went by, it was forced to retreat step by step, unable to stop any effective attacks. Kill! Kill! Waves of fierce air power landed on the dark gold serpent's body, causing blood to spurt out. As for those hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, they would always attack the vital parts of the dark gold serpent. Their attacks were more than 10 times more powerful than those ordinary disciples. Obviously, they were the main attacking force. After around half an hour, the dark gold serpent let out a wail. Its gigantic body heavily thudded against the ground and stopped breathing. Creak! Once the dark gold serpent died, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace seemed to have sensed it. The huge iron gate opened automatically, and a pure white light shone on everyone. Buzz! The Zhen Qi inside his body vibrated. Yichun found that under the white light, he had already reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm. It was as if he had reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm without any hindrance. Yichun couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, then thought to himself, maybe it's because of the fight against Hong Qianjun. My Zhen Qi cultivation has been strengthened, and I only need to cultivate for a few days to reach the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Chapter 154. Although the gap between the late condensing reality realm and the peak of the late condensing reality realm was not that big, but for Yichun, it was extremely valuable. Before, he was 30% sure that he could kill Yuan Hing Ing, but now, he was 40% sure. If he could step into the clasping Yuan realm, killing Yuan Hing Ing would be as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. The other disciples all felt that their cultivation had improved, but none of them managed to make a breakthrough like Yichun. The gate of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is open. Let's go, let's go. As soon as this white light shone on me, I felt so much better. I can definitely break into the clasping Yuan realm if I get in there. Except for the hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, most of the other disciples had gone crazy. Why did they risk their lives to enter the Heavenly Dream ancient region? Of course, it was to break into the clasping Yuan realm. As long as they could become clasping Yuan realm martial artists, they would be as powerful as those hidden dragon rank martial artists. They wouldn't need to be scared anymore, and they wouldn't need to lower their heads. Piss off. The hidden dragon ranked martial artists were the fastest. Their bodies flashed across the air and darted into the palace gate. Among them, Yuan Heng had killed a disciple who had been blocking his way in a cruel and brutal way. Looking at those crazy disciples, Luo Han said, "Let's go in as well." Yi Chun activated his Yun Qi for a few times, found nothing wrong. He nodded and said, "This heavenly dream battle palace is indeed very helpful for breaking into the clasping Yuan realm." I think so too. The four of them followed closely behind the others and entered the palace, which was filled with a dense white light. Huh! Taking a deep breath, Zhu Mei said in surprise, "What a dense and pure Yuan Qi. It's so much better than the Yuan Qi from spirit stones. I can absorb it with almost no effort." In fact, even without Zhu Mei's reminder, the three of them had already sensed the change of the Yuan Qi once they entered the palace. However, the white light in the palace seemed to be way too strong. Once they entered, they were completely blinded. They couldn't see or sense anything. Even Yi Chen's soul power had lost its effect. It seemed that only the most basic sense of touch and hearing still existed. After about a quarter of an hour, the palace door behind him suddenly closed with a heavy sound. Then, as if there was a small earthquake in the palace, the rumbling sound was continuous, rising and falling. Suddenly, the floor under Yi Chen's feet sank, and there seemed to be something above sealing this space. "Be careful, the internal structure of the palace has changed," Yi Chen quickly warned. But no one answered. Letting out a bitter smile, Yi Chen realized that they had been separated from each other. Well, the heavenly dream battle palace wouldn't kill people on their own, so there shouldn't be any danger. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Yi Chen was about to meditate and cultivate. Visible to the naked eye, the incomparably dense white light shrank into a ball and entered a huge crystal ball. The crystal ball was colorful and suspended in the air. Yi Chen quietly observed the situation. Buzz! The air slightly vibrated, and gradually, a human-shaped white silhouette appeared under the crystal ball. The silhouette was holding a great sword with a straight back. If one looked closely, one would find that this silhouette was exactly the same as Yi Chen's. Even the great sword was exactly the same. It was like a clone of Yi Chen. Of course, a silhouette was only a silhouette after all. It was pure white, without any facial features. At first glance, one could easily tell that it was created by some kind of energy and not a real person. Swoosh! Once the white silhouette was formed, it took a step forward and launched a sword attack towards Yi Chen. Peak of the late condensing reality realm. Yi Chen sensed that the Yun Qi vibration of the silhouette was exactly the same as his own. The speed and power of the silhouette's attack were both amazing, almost as powerful as Luo Hanshan's. In other words, the silhouette was at the level of the Windy Nation's child-to-be. Yi Chen wasn't a passive person, and if he guessed it right, this was the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace's test. Only by defeating the silhouette could one be qualified to stay. Clang! The hidden cloud sword was pulled out of the scabbard. Yi Chen brushed past the silhouette. In the next moment, the silhouette's right arm, which was holding the sword, was sent flying into the air. Wisps of white light emerged from the wound. The silhouette, which had lost an arm, still tried to attack Yi Chen, but its head was chopped off by Yi Chen. The silhouette then transformed back into a stream of white light and flew back into the crystal ball. At the same time, in the enclosed space, which was less than 300 meters away, the same thing was happening. What the hell? It's as powerful as me, and it even has martial skills. It's only slightly weaker than me, but it seems to be quite hard to defeat it. Why is it different from the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace's test 10 years ago? It's always the same. Some people were fighting intensely against the silhouette, and it was hard to tell who would win. Although some of them could suppress the silhouette, they couldn't defeat it within a short period of time, and some of them were surprised and didn't know how to react. All in all, everyone was taking the test, and the difficulty of the test depended on each individual strength. The first round of the test had ended. 5 of their disciples were hit by the silhouette and were sent out of the heavenly dream battle palace. In the scorching ancient desert, beside the gigantic door of light, 5 silhouettes darted out of the door and landed on the thick sand. Yao, Kai, Li Jing. These 5 people just happened to be the disciples of the sects that had failed the test. They crawled up from the sand with stunned expressions, and then they seemed to have thought of something. They had a dejected look on their faces, and they didn't even hear the shouts of their respective sects' elders. You failed. No one will blame you. Go back and work hard. Don't ever give up, otherwise you won't be able to make any progress in the future. How many of our disciples are left? What? You're the only one left? Some of the elders encouraged them, some asked about the situation inside, and some of them heard the bad news. They beat their chests and stamped their feet, crying. The people inside the palace didn't know what was happening outside, and even if they knew, they wouldn't be able to be distracted. As the first round of the test ended, the second round began. Child-level power from the windy nation. Yi Chen's face turned serious. The silhouette in front of him wasn't that powerful, but it was already so powerful in the second round. The third and fourth rounds, and the later rounds, would undoubtedly be even more difficult. If one wanted to pass the second round, he would not only have to rely on his own power, but also his fighting skills. The silhouette dashed over, and Yi Chen swung his sword. Puff! The silhouette's head flew out, transformed into a beam of white light, and merged into the crystal ball. The second round of the test ended, and the number of disciples who had failed doubled. In the first round, there were only 5, and in this round, there were 35. As the number of people who had failed increased outside the heavenly dream ancient region, all the institutions in the scorching ancient desert had learned about the situation inside the palace, and were all stunned. It wasn't that they didn't know that the heavenly dream ancient region was a place that would devour people, but out of the 660 people who had entered the palace, only less than 300 managed to make it out alive. The others were either killed by the ancient demonic beasts inside, or killed by the disciples of other institutions, or killed by the ancient black gold boa. The death rate had reached a record high, over 55%. Fortunately, 1 out of 10 of the people who survived had a chance to step into the clasping yuan realm. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be able to enter the heavenly dream ancient region. Too many people died. Fortunately, not all of our disciples died. The third round of the test began. This time, the silhouette was as powerful as the top 100 of the last hidden dragon ranking, which was almost the same as Qiu Heng, who was in the swamp, and had the power to kill warriors at the same level as him within seconds. After easily killing this silhouette, Yi Chen sensed something different. Every time his attack landed on the silhouette's body, a magical vibration would be transmitted to his own body, and as the vibration became more and more obvious, Yi Chen realized that there was a stream of extremely pure yuan qi contained within the vibration, which would help him improve his cultivation. In other words, every time he fought, he was actually making progress. The longer he could last, the more progress he would make, and in the end, he might even be able to step into the clasping yuan realm. After figuring this out, Yi Chen let out a long breath and thought, I finally understand. The heavenly dream battle palace is not only a test, but also an opportunity. It depends on whether I can grasp it or not. The third round of the test was not difficult for Yi Chen, but it was extremely difficult for the others. In the 7th sealed space on the east side, Lu Han's Han was gasping heavily. The silhouette in front of him was slightly more powerful than him. It was almost impossible for him to defeat it with his own power. What should I do? Am I going to be eliminated like this? No. Since it's a test, there must be a way to pass. Boom! Without giving Lu Han's Han too much time to think, the silhouette launched a heavy punch. The tremendous power contained in that punch was as great as a mountain, as great as a river, surging violently. East-rising purple chi, great monument suppression. Lu Han's Han tried his best to push the extreme purple art and the great monument heavenly king fist to their limits, combining them into a special defensive skill to protect himself. Crack! The purple monument couldn't even hold for 3 blinks of an eye, and suddenly shattered. Lu Hanzhan rolled away in embarrassment, dodging the terrifying punch launched by the silhouette. At the same time, his chi and blood were boiling inside his body, and his eyes were seeing stars. All right, if I can reach the peak of the 9th level of the extreme purple art, I might be able to defeat him. Lu Hanshan's eyes shone. The 9th level of the extreme purple art was called East Rising Purple Chi. The peak of the 9th level of the extreme purple art could draw a purple lotus out of the air, and with the protection of the lotus, the defensive power of the cultivator would be raised by many times. The silhouette launched another attack, but Lu Hanzhan didn't back off. Instead, he pushed the extreme purple art to its limit and launched 2 punches in a row. In the other sealed space, Su Jing had released her unprecedented power and was fighting against the silhouette. Every single punch landed on the silhouette's body, and the fierce gale generated by the punches shook the air like water. The golden light emitted by the 2 silhouettes was sometimes dim, sometimes brighter, and sometimes dimmer. If Lu Hanzhan and Zhu Mei were here, they would definitely be shocked, because Su Jing's opponent was even more powerful than young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu. According to their previous understanding of Su Jing, she had never reached this level, which meant that Su Jing had been hiding her real power all this time. Clang! The silhouette and Su Jing's fists clashed against each other and let out a terrifying metal clanging noise. Dazzling fire sparks splashed everywhere, and the air was extremely hot. Break! While locking the silhouette's right arm with her left hand, Su Jing's body suddenly shook, and a solid golden light burst out from her body, striking on the silhouette's body and disabling it from moving. After that, Su Jing took the opportunity and threw out a punch, hitting the silhouette's head. With a popping sound, the silhouette transformed into a beam of white light and merged into the crystal ball. Chapter 155. Many people hadn't finished their 3rd round yet, but Yi Chen's 4th round had already begun. The white silhouette was at the early, clasping Yuan realm. His strong Zhun Qi vibration could be sensed from a long distance away, and the air started to ripple like water. Come on! Yi Chen had killed Hong Qianjun and fought against Yuan Hengying, so he was not afraid of this silhouette at all. He held the hidden cloud sword in his right hand and prepared to launch his sword intent. Swish! The white light figure suddenly disappeared, and when it reappeared, it was already in the sky above Yi Chen. It slashed down from the sky, and the majestic sword pressure was like a mountain, like a long river, piercing through the void, heading straight for Yi Chen. The attack was unexpectedly fierce. Yi Chen was slightly surprised. He raised his sword to block the attack. Crack! The floor under Yi Chen's feet was dented, and dark cracks spread out like a spider web. Dominate the world! With his tongue against his teeth, Yi Chen let out a shout, clenched his left hand into a fist, and threw out a punch. The silhouette didn't even think about it, and threw out a punch. Boom! Yi Chen's feet sank half a foot into the ground, while the silhouette was blown away by the power of Yi Chen's punch, and a slight crack appeared on its left arm. Just as I thought, this silhouette's defense is not as good as mine. Jumping out of the pit, Yi Chen released a thick stream of sword chi, chasing after the silhouette, intending to kill it with a single sword strike. The silhouette was of the early clasping Yuan realm. It twisted its body in the air, narrowly dodged the sword chi, and then launched a thick stream of white sword chi towards Yi Chen in a weird posture. The air was torn apart like a piece of cloth, and the white sword chi seemed to be even more powerful than Yi Chen. Swirling clouds. From the late condensing reality realm to the peak of the late condensing reality realm, Yi Chen's Zhun-Qi had been greatly improved. Now, it was much easier for him to perform the shocking cloud sword art, and he didn't feel any sluggishness like he did when he was fighting against Hong Qianjun. The sword chi that contained sword intent rose straight up, twisting the air and forming a huge tornado. It smashed the white sword chi with a single strike, and then swept towards the white figure with a rumbling sound. Sharp sword chi kept shooting out from it, sparkling and resplendent. Kacha, kacha, kacha. There was a mysterious power in the sealed space that was repairing the marks left by the previous battle. However, its speed of repair was not as fast as Yi Chen's destruction. Hundreds of sword marks instantly appeared on the ground and the walls. Each sword mark revealed a sharp aura. The white silhouette waved his sword wildly, forming a sword screen in front of him, blocking the tornado and the sword chi. His body was pushed back step by step. Bang! With his back against the wall, the white figure had nowhere to retreat. The white light on his body flashed rapidly as he slashed out with his sword. Roar! As soon as the white sword chi appeared, dragon's roars sounded out, and the astonishing sword chi suppressed the air, bringing with it an indestructible concept that slashed apart the rampaging tornado. Still not dead? Mountain condensed sword chi. No one knew when Yi Chun had appeared above the remnants of the tornado. His clothes fluttered in the wind as he slashed down with his sword. Clang, 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 clang. Sparks flew everywhere, and the white figure raised his sword to block the sword chi, but he was suppressed to the point where he couldn't move. Moments later, the sword chi broke the opponent's treasured sword, and the white figure turned into white light. Buzz! As soon as Yi Chen's feet landed on the ground, a magical vibration power acted on his body. Under this vibration power, Yi Chen only felt that his bones and muscles were itching, and his Zhen Qi was circulating faster than before. In addition, because of the boiling of his qi and blood, Yi Chen's face had also turned red. What a magical vibration power! It can actually improve my body and speed up the Zhen Qi circulation. In the previous 3 rounds of tests, Yi Chen already knew that the vibration power could shake out the impurities in the body, which could increase the speed of training and refining Zhen Qi, but it could not directly increase one's cultivation. However, compared with the current vibration power, it was obvious which one was better. When the vibration power disappeared, Yi Chen looked inside his body and found that the Zhen Qi swirl in his dantian was gradually moving closer to the center and gradually became round. Now, I have almost stepped into the clasping yuan realm. I only need to wait for the right time. The shape of the Zhen Qi inside one's dantian would change according to one's cultivation level. In the mortal Qi realm, the Zhen Qi would be in the shape of a cyclone, but in the condensing reality realm, the Zhen Qi would be transformed into Zhen Qi, and the quantity and quality of the Zhen Qi would be greatly increased, which would transform into a Zhen Qi swirl. In the clasping yuan realm, the Zhen Qi swirl would gather together and form a perfect sphere. Puff! With a single punch, Yi Chen's power had improved once again. Now, even if he had to fight against Yuan Hengying, he had 50% confidence that he could defeat him or even kill him. At this moment, most of the people had just finished the 3rd round. The number of people who had been eliminated kept rising. 5 people were eliminated in the 1st round, 15 in the 2nd round, and over 240 people were eliminated in the 3rd round. All of them had been sent out of the heavenly dream battle palace and returned to the scorching ancient desert. Hans Han, the Sky Cloud Martial School's head elder, glanced around and found Luo Hanzhan in the crowd. Luo Hanzhan gave a bitter smile and said, "Sorry, I failed to step into the clasping yuan realm." Patting on Luo Hanshan's shoulder, the head elder grinned and said, "Don't worry, with your talent, it won't take you too long to step into the clasping yuan realm. You don't have to rush." Ichem. Luo Hanzhan nodded and said, "It's not that I haven't made any progress. The heavenly dream battle palace is filled with rich yuan qi, and during the test, the vibrating power also affected my body. The Zhen Qi swirl inside my body has already gone through the 3rd round of the test, and it seems to be shrinking. If I go back and cultivate for a while, I might be able to make a breakthrough." "That's great. All right, where are the others? Are they in danger?" The head elder looked nervous. Every single one of Yi Chun and the other 3 were the future pillars of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Losing any one of them would be a great loss, especially Yi Chun. Geniuses who had mastered the half-step sword intent were not as common as cabbages. They were extremely rare. If they lost Yi Chun this time, no one knew how many years they would have to wait for the next time. Luo Hanzhan glanced at the direction of the Purple Sun Martial School, then sent his Zhen Qi to the head elder and said, "Head elder, Brother Yi has mastered the true sword intent, and he has also killed the Thunder Hand Ouyang Lai and the Little Godly Kick Ouyang Ming. These 2 have been trying to kill us, but in the end, They were killed by Brother Yi. It's true. The head elder's voice was a bit high-pitched. Fortunately, he had used his Zhen Qi to send the message. Otherwise, he would have made a fool of himself. Luo Han smiled and said, "How could I say something without thinking? It's absolutely true." Great. Yi Chun has actually mastered the sword intent. He is indeed a peerless genius of our Sky Cloud Martial School. It seems like even the gods want our Sky Cloud Martial School to prosper. The head elder grinned from ear to ear. If Yi Chun, who had mastered the half-step sword intent, was like an unpolished jade, then Yi Chun, who had mastered the sword intent, was like a peerless jade, which didn't need to be polished anymore. Luo Han continued. Zhu Mei and sister Su Jing are both doing well. They haven't come out yet. Perhaps they're currently in the 4th round of the test and have a great chance to break into the clasping Yuan realm. Luo Han didn't use his Zhen Qi to send this message, but the 4th elder and the other inner elders all heard it. The 4th elder laughed out loud and said, "Compared to our generation, you are so much more outstanding. In just a few years, we will have to give up our positions." It's better for us to give up our positions. Nowadays, the world belongs to young people. You're right. Back then, when we were fighting against the 9 evil cult, our Sky Cloud Martial School suffered a great loss. Our generation hasn't even grown up yet, but we have already become inner elders. You are much more outstanding than us. You can still take up this position. Compared to the other institutions, the Sky Cloud Martial School side was filled with laughter. In the Purple Sun Martial School's direction, the head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School had a gloomy look on his face. He said to an inner elder who was standing next to him, "I wonder how Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming are doing. As for the others, they're most likely dead. Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming are very powerful. It's not very likely that they are dead. The others are not as powerful, so they are more likely to be dead." The head elder looked at Luo Han. A killing intent flashed across his eyes. It seems that they haven't finished the task I gave them. Luo Han came out alive. Don't worry about Luo Han. He hasn't reached the clasping Yuan realm yet. If you want to worry, you should worry about that kid named Yi Chun. Once he reaches the clasping Yuan realm, he will be as powerful as a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He will be a great threat to our Purple Sun Martial School in the future. We can't let him live. No matter what, we have to wait for Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming to come out first. All of a sudden, a raging growl came from a multiple mountain martial school. The growl was mixed with Zhen Qi. It even raised the sand within a radius of tens of zhang into the air. What did you say? The multiple mountain martial school's head elder glared at the multiple mountain martial school's disciple who had just walked out. The disciple was frightened by the head elder's fierce aura. He hurriedly lowered his head and said, "Head elder, I didn't see our eldest brother Hong Qianjun in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, but I think he should be fine. He is an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and all the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists were there. Except for them. Who else could kill our eldest brother?" The multiple mountain martial school's head elder yelled out. "Then where did he go?" "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace will close in a quarter of an hour." This, I don't know either. If something bad happens to Hong Qianjun, our multiple mountain martial school will definitely investigate this thoroughly, find out who is behind this. If I find out, I will kill his whole family. Luo Hanshan's pupil shrunk. He hurriedly took back his sight. Hong Qianjun was killed by Yi Chun. He and Zhu Mei and Su Jing had witnessed it with their own eyes. At this moment, he couldn't afford to leave even the slightest trace. Otherwise, if the multiple mountain martial school's people noticed it, it would bring an endless disaster to the Sky Cloud Martial School. The head elder sensed that Luo Hanshan's facial expression had changed. He hurriedly sent his Zhen Qi to Luo Hanzhan. "Hanzhan, what's wrong? What's wrong? Tell me honestly. I'm your uncle. Don't you trust me?" Hesitating for a while, Luo Hanzhan decided to tell the truth. In the Sky Cloud Martial School, he trusted his father Luo Xinglia and the head elder the most. Both of them were his closest relatives. Head elder, Hong Qianjun, is already dead, and the one who killed him is Yi Chun. But this whole thing was started by Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming from the Purple Sun Martial School. If we didn't kill Hong Qianjun back then, Hong Qianjun would definitely kill us. Ouyang Lai. Ouyang Ming instigated Hong Qianjun to kill you. He must have promised him some benefits, right? I thought it was something serious. He killed Hong Qianjun. If you didn't kill him, he would kill you. This is simple, but except for your father and me, don't tell anyone else about this. Although our Sky Cloud Martial School is not a coward, we still don't want to start a war with a multiple mountain martial school. I know,